Мене звати Денис Ніколайчук, я спеціаліст із комунікації Офісу Горизонт Європи в Україні і Національного фонду досліджень України. Ми сьогодні раді вас всіх вітати на нашому інформаційному заході, який присвячений Всесвітньому дню науки, Дня миру та розвитку.
In the name of peace and development. We all know that science in Ukraine, we all know problems that science faces. We know the challenges. It's destruction of research base, also limited finances and many other challenges. But besides this, we see a constant support of European Union research institutions which help us in many different ways. They organize various standards, competitions, they organize various academic programs, and this list can go on and on. National Research Fund also expands its international cooperation and involves different finances and budgets to make sure that Ukrainian researchers had possibilities, even in these conditions, to self-actualize and realize themselves, to implement their ideas, to make Ukraine better. We know the program with Horizon Ukraine. Ukraine doesn't pay the fees, but the participation of Ukrainians is mandatory. And today's event, just as previous events, we are going to talk about possibilities, but maybe this event is peculiar in a way, because we're not going to just talk about possibilities. We are going to talk about the possibilities which were used and implemented as well, how people were able to implement their ideas. These people are going to be here today and they will share with us their stories of success. And you will have a possibility to talk to these colleagues. Now, we have simultaneous interpretation. There are two channels, English and channel.
In left down corner, please click to globe and translate and select translation channel, English, Ukraine, if you know. Колеги, також, які до нас
Dear colleagues, those colleagues that join us online, you also have a possibility to use simultaneous interpretation. Just like I said, on your screen you have a globe and you can click this globe and choose the language. Now, pay attention to your microphone. If you are not speaking, your microphone should be on. Now, we have tradition and we are going to start our event with the greeting words from Denis KURBATOV, and we are going to listen to Denis KURBATOV first. Good morning, dear colleagues, friends. I greet all of you. I think it's a great thing that we are all together, representatives of universities, institutions, state administrations, and international partners. This Science Day is a very good opportunity to see how the support for research is going to change in Ukraine. We move from chaotic moves to concrete steps in innovation or science. We have plan, we have instruments, we have rules of game, and this model was approved. We have a work plan, we create conditions for startup schools and research institutions. We move forward to make sure that businesses have this opportunity, and some of this part of the transformation is about unification with the European Union. Together with the European Union and other partner countries, we started a new coalition of science and innovation for Ukraine. It's a unique platform which provides support for Ukrainian researchers, provides resources, and together we can create new programs. Our researchers take part in these opportunities with Horizon Office. We create international laboratories laboratories. It's a result of systematic work of the state and each of you personally. We are very thankful to our European partners for their support that we feel every day. The Ministry of Education and Science is not just opening doors to European programs. We build connections with European partners, their universities and real sectors of economy. This is how we create a space in which research has their logic continuation for development of frontier science. We have many challenges ahead of us. How can we assure constant finance funding, development of structures? But we already have a foundation, and we are sure that we are moving in the right direction. And in Kharkiv, Berlin, Sumy, or Brussels, no matter where you work, we have this very competent discussion of partnership, and together we move Ukrainian science forward to international science, European and international science. Thank you, Denis Igorevich. I also want to invite to the word Carole MANCEL-BLANCHARD. She is the leader of RTD03, Cooperation of Europe and America.
For me to invite Ms. Carole MANCEL-BLANCHARD, head of Unit RTD03, International Cooperation, Europe and Americas, European Commission, to give a welcoming speech. Ms. MANCEL-BLANCHARD, good afternoon.
Good morning, dear colleagues, dear Minister KURBATOV, dear Mrs. BORELL-DAMIAN, dear Mrs. POLOTSKA, dear Mr. BABAK, dear Mrs. ANTONIUK, dear Yehor, dear all. It's a pleasure to be with you today, even virtually, to open this event on research and innovation as a driver of Ukraine's integration into the global research area. Allow me to begin by once more reaffirming the EU's unwavering support and solidarity to Ukraine in facing Russia's unlawful war of aggression. Our commitment to Ukraine remains strong as it ever has been. And this is a commitment that extends to Ukrainian science and innovation. Today's celebration of the International Day of Science for Peace and Development gives us an occasion to reflect on the interaction between science and society in Ukraine today and on the value added of science for the society. It is also an opportunity to reflect and exchange about this. In Ukraine, as anywhere, science is at its best when it's done in collaboration and founded on dialogue. And when science is collaborative, it contributes to addressing and responding to societal challenges. And this may be no more relevant than in Ukraine. You have already mobilized the research and innovation ecosystem to improve and adapt technology to defend your country in the ongoing war and to ensure the continuation of critical functions of the Ukrainian society. Moreover, in your urge to maintain the scientific activity in your country and expand your research and innovation ecosystem, you have expanded your networks into the European research area. And these efforts will only be more relevant in the future. Maintaining your scientific basis in Ukraine and connecting it with Europe drives your integration into the European Union. You have managed to advance Ukrainian scientific excellence, and you are building a basis for future collaboration and transfer of technology and knowledge, which will benefit the recovery of Ukraine. And the European Commission both recognizes and accompanies this trend. This is why we have shifted the approach under Horizon Europe and will start from the work program 26-27 that will be approved beginning of December to introduce topics with higher relevance for Ukraine's recovery and which will mandate Ukrainian participation in these actions. These actions will furthermore also accelerate Ukraine's preparation to accession into the EU and secure opportunities to collaborate with EU scientific actors. Behind this shift is the conviction that science can support Ukraine's modern and sustainable recovery, help Ukraine build back better, and ensure that the EU is a trusted partner all the way. Science has the potential to address virtually any challenge Ukraine is facing, and we must engage in the dialogue with other international partners on how we can leverage this potential. This is why, together with UNESCO, together with the Italian G7 presidency, we launched the International Coalition for Science, Research and Innovation in Ukraine in Rome in July with the government of Ukraine. This is an initiative to mobilize a broad range of stakeholders to support Ukrainian science and advocate for its role in Ukraine's recovery. This is our commitment to Ukraine. This is our commitment that together we will make sure that science contributes to a lasting peace and sustainable development of Ukraine. And before that, I wish you a day full of fruitful discussions, full of an open dialogue over the role of science in Ukraine. Thank you very much for having me today.
Ms. MANCEL-BLANCHARD, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your support of Ukraine, National Research Foundation of Ukraine, and also Horizon Europe Office in Ukraine. Many thanks. Шановні колеги, ми продовжуємо. Я також хочу запросити до вітального
слова now continue, and I want to invite Mrs. Lidia Borell-Damian. She's from the Science Europe organization.
I would like to invite with a welcome speech dear Lidia Borell-Damian, Secretary General of Science Europe. Dear Lidia, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes. Hello.
Great.
Can you hear me now?
Great.
And
yes,
I think the video is coming. Sorry, my computer was a little bit slow in reacting to the activation of the video and now audio. I hope that you can hear me and see me well now.
Yes, we hear well.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very, very much for inviting me to address this distinguished audience, and congratulations on this important event that you are organizing in such a symbolic day as the World Science Day for Peace and Development. We are very happy to be here with you and to discuss Ukraine's role in building peace and indeed for development, and in recognizing the role of science, and in particular the role of science in Ukraine these days, in this very difficult situation that you are facing. And once again, I would like to express my solidarity and that of all Science Europe members that we stand by Ukraine. We've done that from day one, and we are still doing it, and we remain completely committed to your support as much as we can do. So this day, it is a little bit of an unfortunate day, because if we need a day for science, for peace and development, it means that we need to do a lot of work to foster peace and development. And it is a pity, but at the same time, it is a motivation for us to do more, to try and refine what we do, or think differently what we do. And we believe that the theme of this year, Trust and Transformation and Tomorrow, is a very well chosen theme that reflects exactly what we aim to achieve through international collaboration in research and innovation. In Ukraine is now a very clear paradigm of this, unfortunately, but here we are trying to put forward research and innovation as a driver of resilience, reconstruction, and reintegration of the global scientific community, and even surpass perhaps the expectations that were there even before the war. We all know that in many occasions, research has been always a unifying aspect of our lives, a unifying force, even in times of extreme crisis and extreme of wars. So we want to think and exploit that aspect and try to stick together as much as possible with the scientific community around the values of trust, transformation, and evolution. We are convinced that trust, especially trust in science, enables cooperation across borders. The transformation, evolution strengthens our systems, and tomorrow reminds us that today's choices will define the science and societies in the future. Let's say 2050, that's a horizon that many of us have these days. So we must work more for Ukraine's integration in Europe and globally. I will discuss a little bit both through cooperation and by building trust. Trust in science begins with openness, transparency, and shared values. And in science, Europe, we have a set of very good values that all members share. And NRFU is a very valued member of the community of Science Europe. It puts an emphasis on open science, on ethics and integrity, on equality, diversity, and inclusion, in collaboration, in academic freedom, and in excellence. So we hope that with these values, we can move on a long ways. In these conditions, Ukraine researchers are showing every day extraordinary resilience, maintaining excellence and innovation despite the unprecedented and adverse challenges. Academic freedom is of essence here as well. So we salute and we welcome all your efforts, and we just want to tell you, please continue. We know it's so hard. We can, please tell us what you need. We will do everything in our hand to help you. Now, what we are here as well is not only to support you in these critical moments, but also in trying to provide the basis, or at least support you in developing your own basis for long-term capacity to modernize your institutions, to support early career researchers, to invest in infrastructure, thinking about the reconstruction, thinking about peace. This is the topic of today. And to think about peace, we need to think, as I'm sure you know very well, on topics such as sustainability, health, security, etc. The big challenges of today's societies. This is why alignment of Ukraine policies in research, together with those of Horizon Europe, is of essence, together with other global policies that go in the same direction, is also of essence. Investing in your capacity today, in Ukrainian RNA capacity today, will help you and help all of us to shape a very good global landscape that will be more diverse, perhaps more complex, but above all, developed in peace. Ukraine, I know Ukraine wants to integrate in Europe, at least in research that's very clear, exemplified through NRFU, but not only NRFU, but universities. They organize many events in Brussels or Paris, etc. And it is clear the great effort, not only the great effort, but the great will to link up more and better with other European countries. So we facilitate that from Science Europe by integrating NRFU in all of our working groups, by welcoming NRFU in all the ERA discussions. So as any other member of Science Europe, it cannot be other way. But perhaps paying more attention to the specificities of your country. As well, also, you know that Ukraine is in a way of going to an associated country. We hope that this will come someday, hopefully sooner than later. and that there are several associated countries in the Science Europe community. So we believe that by pulling together all the different constraints, opportunities, added values that these associated countries or candidates to associated countries bring in, it is very nice for the Science Europe community as well. If we talk about global, Science Europe is a big member, a big coordinating member of the European participants in the Global Research Council. And in this respect, NRFU is part of the Global Research Council. We, in Europe, well, the Global Research Council, as its name indicates, is it's a virtual organization. It doesn't exist as a physical organization, but it gathers national research councils, funders of all countries in Europe, all those that want to be engaged together. In Europe, we do not only have the national research funding organizations, we also engage performing organizations, because we believe that dialogue between funders and performance is on essence to coordinate action on behalf of research and also to advocate best policies for research in Europe. In this respect, and linking to what I said before about values of open science and equity and equality, the meeting of the Global Research Council will take place in Bangkok in May 2026. And the two topics for discussions are precisely sustainable research for sustainable communities and inclusive open science for equity, justice, and sustainability. So I think this is a perfect place for NRFU to be there and to share and learn, mutual learning with other colleagues in different parts of the world. Back in Europe, in November, 18-20th November, so in just 10 days, or even less, the General Assembly of Science Europe will meet to discuss Horizon Europe, research security, all this with an example of the Arctic, using the Arctic as an example to see how all these research policies and cooperation between countries is of essence to fight a problem that affects us all, sustainability of the Arctic. And we will discuss association of countries to Horizon Europe. We are delighted that Olga POLOTSKA, NRFU Executive Director, will be in Oslo and will address the General Assembly and provide us up-to-date information of Ukraine's efforts in science. Moreover, addressing the topic of trust that I also referred above, we are organizing an event in Paris with the French National Research Agency that will celebrate its 20th anniversary in December 2025. Back to this celebration, we are going to organize an event on trust in science, and we will bring together research leaders, policymakers, scientists from different parts of different disciplines that will try and help us with their insights on understanding what are the roots of mistrust in science and try to see what can we do, what else can we do, what can we do different, better to enhance trust in science. Moreover, we are also in conversations with UNESCO and the Commission precisely in line with the Rome Declaration to support the best way possible Ukraine's development and Ukraine's integration and reconstruction. We do that based on Science Europe efforts. So we also make the link with UNESCO and the European Commission. And now we have organized a series of, an ongoing series of events on different topics with NRFU, where we select, especially NRFU, indicates what are the best topics for them at a certain point. We held a workshop early in September, where we had a representative from UNESCO. And we are going to celebrate another one on 25th of November on monitoring research collaborations. So we hope that, and another one will be in Open Science in February next year. So we hope that with all these actions, we are contributing our best to build your system, a research and innovation system. Should you think that we can do something better, different, please, by all means, we are open to hear and to adapt as necessary and as we can. We want to build a very trustful relationship, enable transformations, and shape the best conditions for science to move together. And thank you very much for your invitation again, and I wish you a fantastic day of discussions.
Ms. Borell-Damian, many thanks for joining this event. Your support is very important for us. Thank you very much. Колеги, я також з великою приємністю хочу запросити до вітального слова пана Серхія Бабака,
Mr. Serhii BABAK, the Member of Parliament of Ukraine, the head of the Committee of Verkhovna Rada Ukraine on Education, Science and Innovations. Hello, dear colleagues. I'm happy to be with you today. Unfortunately, I cannot be in person, so but I'm happy I'm joined online. So let's consider that our scientific week is going on. What I want to say today, every one of us understands that we are going through hard times. It was not a choice, but it was not our choice. But every day we have to decide what we can do to win. And as you know, today's war, it is not the war of humans. It is the war of technologies and innovations. Today is a time when one technological decision may completely change the course of history or the course of military operation. I hear the question, how can we help? What is the way we can be useful? And the answer is very simple. You have to be effective in your own place. All of you, engineers, innovators, researchers, all of you can do a lot. And I know this very well because my childhood, I was growing among teachers, educators, and researchers. Their mindset was completely different. They were putting questions with no answers to them, and I was witnessing how the discoveries were done, and each war is a driver of scientific innovation. If we go back to the World War II, the example of the power of science was that the machine for deciphering the secret codes, and it actually saved lots of lives of people. That was how one idea could change the world. Also, during the World War II, the penicillin was invented, and that was the thing that saved thousands of lives. So during the war in Persian, the scientists has created this GPS system that was first used in the military operations, and it was a complete change of all the course of actions in war. During the war in Iran, the drone technologies has started to be used. Today, the Ukrainian researchers are fighting together with the militaries, not by keeping guns in the war, but they are fighting for the technologies. And the researchers are those who are creating drones, AI technologies, and they are developing biomaterials for medicines, and so on. Some of such innovations as drones and roboted land complexes have been developed, including with the support of NKFU. And these developments, these innovations are now changing the the course of war completely. They help to treat our military servicemen and help them to win on the battlefield. Today, we have technologists, engineers, and researchers that are producing new ideas. They are developing them and they are trying appropriating them on the side. And we know that after the World War II, the engineers of military projects became the drivers for new directions of development. As you know, NRFU is providing grant funding for such researchers, and they help them to implement their cool ideas, and it is very important. At the same time, we understand that we have a war in our country for more than 4 years. Certainly, we lack funds all the time, but we are trying to fill the budget of the NRFU so that they could continue their work and so that they could continue providing funds for the grant projects. For the last year, we managed to increase the funding for science around 30%, and one of the priorities here is the support of the innovative projects. We are doing a lot from the point of view of legislation. We have voted a draft project on the priority areas for researchers, and this will allow us to make the system more flexible and more modern. The next week we are going to vote the law for the ecosystem of innovations. We are expecting a law about science city. This is the law that will change the tax system to support scientific and research activities, and this will allow us to work more effectively and more quickly with business, and that is the result we want to achieve. But we also understand that we cannot move forward without the deep cooperation without the international partners. In 2015, we have defined our commitment to be integrated to the European research area. We have joined the scientific program of Europe, Horizon Europe, and the Office of Horizon Europe have already done a lot of things to support our science in Ukraine. A lot of researchers have applied for the funding and for the support for their ideas. During we have received around $38 million during 2022 year of Horizon project. We have already gone through the screening of the European Union, and we are ready to open the. Recently, we had a joint meeting with the Committee of the Culture and Education of the European Parliament, where we were discussing the contributions of Ukraine to the future program that is going to start in 2027 and will go till 2030. And we have a very great support from European Union in the part that we will be freed from putting our contributions for this period, and this will provide support to our researchers. To wrap up, I want to say great thank you to all the innovators, researchers, and educators, to the NRFU for their work, for all those who who believe in the power of mind and intelligence, and all of you help our country to become more strong and more resilient, and to be able to defend yourself. I will wish all of you a great success, and And I'm looking forward to get the results of your discussion, and I will then discuss that with the fund for sure. So have a nice and fruitful discussion. Thank you. Mr. Serhii, thank you very much for joining us. We have a large audience today, and it is very important to feel and to understand that we have the support on the highest state level. Thank you very much. Let me invite Mr. Yehor PYVOVAROV, the Policy Officer for Research and Innovation of the Delegation of the European Union to Ukraine. Mr. Yehor, hello. Mr. Denis, can you hear me well? Yes, we can hear you and we can see you. Hello, dear guests. I'm glad to join all the greetings you have heard today, and let me greet you on behalf of the Delegation of European Union, and from me personal, please be greeted on the case of today's day. Certainly today's holiday is a bit sad because of all the circumstances we are now in. Nevertheless, the science is now demonstrating great resilience and the power to exist. On our side, as Mr. Blanchard has said, we are continuing to do specific steps to support the Ukrainian science, and it is not only by words, but by the actions, by money, and by concrete things, so that Ukrainian science could not only develop, could not only stay alive, but develop. What I want to say that the European Union is tracking all the high technology innovative solutions that are born in Ukraine, that are actually changing the landscape, especially in the defense tech area. It is a great achievement of Ukrainian. This is a great, this great flexibility of Ukrainians and the power to survive results in just great achievements. And I'm sure that Ukraine is going to become a leader here. Horizon Europe program is one of the most effective tools that lets Ukraine get the support from the European colleagues, from the European Commission, so that their scientific researchers could be moved forward. We are sure that Ukraine is the foremost of the protection of European values in Ukraine, and they are now the source of the ideas and innovations that will become Europe's tomorrow. Those technologies are in defense sector, in medical sector, and so on. First of all, it was the first time that our international partners, we have established an effective mechanism for funding Ukrainian finance and to rebuild Ukraine after all the damages made by the Russian Federation. We are committed to make this body very effective, and so that it could provide the support like the Rammstein coalition that was providing support at the beginning of the war. The Ukrainian scientific community is now more actively integrated to the European research area, though this pace has to be enlarged for sure. That is why we have we initiated, as Mrs. Blanchard mentioned, additional tools for the next framework program for 26-27 that will provide for Ukraine additional costs that will help to move forward and to develop develop Ukrainian science. The young researchers in Ukraine that understand the importance of science and innovations, and they will get additional support for increasing their academic mobility. So all those ideas are to be implemented soon. What is important for us is also to track all the legislative amendments that are taking place on the positive landscape in all the changes in the world of scientific researches and innovations. It is nice to see that it was the first time since the independence of Ukraine that the budget for science funding has been increased up to 40%. Also, the latest amendments to the legislation that were adopted are very good, and the European integration is not possible without them. So there is a great progress in Ukraine. Recently, we were discussing the research infrastructure in Ukraine, and the results of the analysis made by the European Commission confirms that the scores provided by the European side are quite high, and Ukraine is moving in the right direction. We are going to track and to keep an eye on keeping the independence and institutional independence of the RFU, as this institution is the main driver for the support of the researchers and science as a whole. We are grateful to the lawmakers and to the parliamentary committee that managed to introduce this new amendments and changes. It was not an easy task, but they led to balance the activities of the Ukrainian science. And we, on our European side, make our best to have the science priorities on the first as a first priority for the whole country. We understand that without innovations will not be able to move forward. So Ukraine has to support science and to be an effective partner within the European Union. Europe considers Ukraine an inevitable part of the European Union, and we are looking forward to see Ukraine within our family. Certainly, it depends on Ukraine how quickly it will be possible to be done. But we understand that this way is not a simple one. But we have to keep in mind that the science and innovation will be never doubted among European partners, that Ukraine is moving directly to the family of European country. Thank you very much again. I'm greeting all of you with a date of science. That is you that the future of Ukraine depends on. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Ми відвідуємо різні куточки України, проводимо такі подібні інформаційні заходи. І, власне, я хочу зауважити, що пан Єгор, він безпосередньо їздить з нами, він безпосередньо спілкується на місцях,
educational events in many places, in many cities, and it's good that we can all express our wishes, our needs. It's good that Mr. Yehor expressed, talked about needs and our requests. I want to invite now Oleksandra ANTONIUK. She's from the Science Committee of National Council of Ukraine on Science and Technology. Dear colleagues, I thank you all organizers for invitation. For us researchers, it's a very important day. I remember back in the day, we used to celebrate this day, Science Day, only in May, but in November, it was an initiative of scientific community, and we organized this day. And now, twice a year, we celebrate this very beautiful day, Day of Science. It's a progress for us all. I want to say that indeed, for our country, it is very important to have a measuring system so that we could measure the progress of our science. Because if we do not know what is true and what is not true, or what is false, we cannot separate those two. If you don't know what justice and absence of justice, if you cannot separate those two, all our efforts will be futile. Our rockets won't fly. Our antibiotics won't work if we are not going to develop our science further. And I want to say that this tool, which is given to us by the National Committee of Research, is a possibility for us researchers to determine what are the best practices in science, because the main idea of creation of this fund is all about the fact that it's for researchers, it's guided by researchers and scientists, and it develops science research community. And I think it's very important. I want to address you all and say that we need keep this benchmark very high, because like, what is foundation after all? It's a foundation which consists of researchers such as like us, and our council that I present is also made of scientists which mostly volunteer in our task. Those who are in the leadership of these funds and decides what grants to support and not support, what experts to choose, because you know that at our foundation we have independent experts, and no one can influence those, put pressure on those independent experts. I'm talking about the experts which were chosen among us, and this is why I would like to say that the most important achievement of our Ukrainian community is that exactly what Yehor was talking about, is independency of our foundation as an institution. Now, another important thing, look at European, take a look at European integration. If you look at different departments, our department is part 25, it's about science. If you look at that chapter 25 and see how many components we have, then chapter 25 is the least regulated. At the level of European Union, the science is the most autonomous area, and I believe that this is what we should strive for independency of research, respect for scientists and researchers. And I believe that these things are what is something we have to all work on. And the fact that our National Research Foundation sent a project to Horizon Europe, it means for us all that indeed, thanks to this foundation, our Ukrainian researchers are better involved and have better prospects for writing a better request for grants to describe their research and things they want to implement at European level, and also to support our country and our defense system. I don't want to talk for a long time. I just want to all of you wish all of you that this day becomes not just one day and not just 2 days, but every day we would feel the attention from the side of the state and European Union, and we would feel go with this dignity of researchers. Thank you, Ms. Oleksandra, and we are about to finish this greeting part, and I want to invite Olga POLOTSKA, who is the Director of National Research Foundation of Ukraine. Dear colleagues, I have a very pleasant role today. First of all, I want to greet all of you, those of us who physically with us in this room, and also those of us who joined us online. Unfortunately, the times are difficult, and it's not that easy to organize offline events, but at least we have this very good opportunity to talk to you and exchange very good news. And I'm very pleased that we talk about Day of Science and any celebration day is important, and for us it was a good reason to get together and have this official conversation. And I want to say that I am very thankful to all speakers today from Brussels, from Kyiv, from other cities, those people that joined our events, not for the first year, but also they pay very active attention to what is happening with the National Research Foundation. And now let's move to pleasant things, because the first panel is almost over, and I don't want to talk for a long time, but let's talk about pleasant things. The personal input into grant financing of research, of Ukraine research, and for very significant input and popularization of their achievements, also due to the Day of Science and Peace. We want to single out BABAK, Serhii Vitalyevich. He received certificate of gratitude. We hope that we will be able to meet up with you in person and pass you this letter or certificate of gratitude. Also, I am not going to cite everything which is written in this document, but we also want to pass the certificate to ANTONIUK, Oleksandra Viktorovna, ANTONIUK, certificate of gratitude. It's such a good thing that you are physically with us here in person, and we have this opportunity to pass this certificate of gratitude. And the same certificate of gratitude, we want to point out our friend Denise was talking about this person already. This person shares many professional moments with us about communication. It's Yehor Yurievich PYVOVAROV. He's an expert on political issues in the area of science, and it's the representative office of European Union in Ukraine. As soon as you return from Brussels, you know where we are located. Please come to us and pick up this certificate. It's very nice to hear about this, but I'm now in a secret location in Europe at another research base. Now, it's not the end of pleasantries. Another gratitude for a personal input for grant funding and very important input in popularization of Ukrainian scientists, and also due to the Science Day in the name of peace. Slivka Mikhailova is professor of organic chemistry from National University, Doctor of Chemical Sciences. Another gratitude or certificate of gratitude. Mr. Mikhailov, it's a pleasure that we have you with us here, and this is your certificate of gratitude. Now, also another gratitude to National Research Foundation of Ukraine, the head of Institute of Mechanical Science, a Doctor of Technical Sciences, the member of National Academy of Science, Olga Ivanovna Zvirko. Ms. Olga, we again very happy to see you here in person, and it's a very nice thing that you are going to further popularize your research. Another gratitude for active participation in technical cooperation and in collaboration with National Research Foundation. We want to single out a factor of Ivano-Frankivsk Medical University, a doctor of medical science, Yatsishin, Miss Yatsishin Roman Ivanovich. Gratitude for you. We are happy to have that you have been able to make it today. Thank you. And another gratitude for the head of the Department of International Communication from International Medical University, Lesiv Christina, a doctor. Christina, we very much hope the department with such a beautiful name is going to be transformed into a grant office. At this, dear colleagues, I believe our first panel is over. In fact, we have so many other things in our program. I hope that we will all get satisfaction from this event. And Denise, the floor, as always, Denise, the floor is yours. Very pleasant things indeed, because indeed we all work together. And like I said, we want to discuss opportunities, and we are going to now talk about these opportunities and implemented opportunities. And we hope that this will become a good example, good practice for you, and you will have a chance to communicate with all these people. And I believe that this will become a very good opportunity for your further implementation of your ideas. Now we move to our next working panel. Our work, our communication is recorded, and you will be able to receive a copy of the transcription of this event. And this session, I'm not going to have a session of questions and answers. If you have questions, you will be able to talk to each other during the hour of networking. You can also write your comments or send your questions to our email, to the email of Horizon Europe, and we will be able to answer those questions, dear colleagues. It's the second integration of Ukraine to European Union and synergy of European programs. Now we are going to check who out of our speakers are ready to join us. Okay, good. We have a speaker, Tobias STÜDEMANN. He is a representative of Free University in Berlin, in Eastern Europe. He has a very interesting topic of presentations about a smart partner. It's about advantages that other people. Mr. Tobias,
can you provide your presentation? Mr. Tobias STÜDEMANN, are you with us? We don't hear you.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Is it may? Please, floor is yours.
Okay. I was expecting the other presenter to be before me, but I'm happy to share my thoughts. I hope I can share my presentation. Just
yes,
one
you can
second.
share your presentation.
Okay, just let me open it, and now I will try to share it. Just a moment. So now I will make it full screen. I hope you can see it right now.
Yes, we see your presentation. Can you share on this screen?
I will try to make it full screen.
Okay.
Yeah, looks better, correct?
Yes, great. Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Tobias STÜDEMANN. I'm representing Freie Universität Berlin, and I do this type of presentation where we try to explain the German approach on partnering to the region I'm responsible for in a broader picture. So the presentation I have presented is a bit longer than I have time to explain. So you see on the screens the outline of the whole presentation. If the organizers decide, it will be made available to the participant. I already sent to Natalia the PDF version, but I will focus in the 15 minutes I have on the highlighted topics. So it will be roughly 5 slides, which is enough for 15 minutes. I will start with shortly representing the university, because out of the context who we are, you will hopefully better understand what we are interested in. And then I will give you 3 examples on approaches you could use to start to intensify international collaboration, to find partners for all the European funding schemes, etc. Because as you understand, it's usually a bit challenging to find partners, especially when you're not partnering right now. So Freie Universität, this is some key, most important thing for approach. So as a university, research-focused university, we are pretty much interested in international collaboration, but there are things we do and there are things we don't do. For example, a lot of the European funding schemes have a focus on capacity building. But since we are a research-focused university, the colleagues in Berlin usually do not do capacity building projects. So all the partners from abroad who reach out to us and say, yeah, we need some training in this area or some additional qualification in another area, we usually do not do, because the colleagues are interested in doing research projects. So the first and foremost thing, potential partners should always figure out whether the suggested format is of interest to a particular potential partner abroad. The second thing, the global outreach we try to achieve. So the idea of Freie Universität is, right from the beginning, when we are founded in the middle of the last century, is to train and to educate specialists with a research focus who are able to integrate, to participate in solving and doing research on the questions on the global level. So it's more about developing methods, models with an international and an intercultural focus. And since many years, roughly 20 years, Freie Universität has a couple of representative offices, or we call them liaison offices abroad, who try to intensify, to support all members of Freie Universität realizing or being interested in realizing projects in the particular region. When you look a little bit at the map, you will see this is non-Western countries, because from a German perspective, of course, collaborating with colleagues from France, from the UK, maybe even from US and Canada, is from a cultural perspective, from a perspective different approaches, not very challenging, because there are a lot of shared values, shared approaches, common understanding already in place. But the regions we are represented are culturally, technically more different than the Western world. So Sao Paulo is a colleague covering the whole Southern America. We have a colleague in Cairo covering the MENA and Arab-speaking region. I myself, I'm based in Tbilisi and responsible for Eastern Europe and Central Asia. This is why I'm right now. I'm in Tashkent right now. So I apologize for the bad lighting in the hotel room. It's not very nice. But since we are very focused, and we had since the start of the full-scale war a big support program for Ukrainian scholars, and I had the pleasure and the possibility to visit Ukraine with an official visit at the end of September until the beginning of October. This kind of underscores the importance Ukraine is having among Freie Universität colleagues. Nevertheless, part of the truth is that not all colleagues at Freie Universität, of course, are interested in collaborating with Freie Universität, because, of course, the colleagues have to consider their own obligations. And the last office is in New Delhi. So the challenge we are facing from the Berlin perspective are several. I'm totally aware that not all of them will relate to your particular organization you're presenting right now, to university or your institute. But all of those, some of them, or the number of them, limit what we can do. And this, first and foremost, is the lack of foreign language skills among those who should do the work. So when we look from a university perspective, we have the big group of foreign offices or international relation offices doing the standard programs like student exchange programs, maybe welcoming foreign students to a certain amount, limited, of course, in Ukraine right now, but no limitation on our end. So in case you want to extend the international profile, you have to make sure the colleagues on the different department level speak foreign languages. Otherwise, sooner or later, there will be some challenges, some hindrances we don't want to have. The second thing, and this is what I'm dealing most of the time, is we get more or less random letters with suggestions to cooperate, where we can see it's just a list of potential formats and no kind of strategy, no kind of clear approach why this is the priority in this particular foreign partner. So it's sort of a random partner selection. I'm not sure how the Ukrainian colleagues select who to approach abroad. In many countries, because of the international rankings, usually I assume they just check the first 100, 200 universities in the world in the rankings and just send letters to them, either to central units, to decentralized units, doesn't matter. So it's sort of an unclear strategy why they are reaching out to us. And this situation is very common when we look at what is being suggested. So, of course, from the perspective of a potential partner, of course, they list all the formats, all the areas they are interested, but usually, and actually I haven't seen any letter of potential collaboration where there's a clear understanding what is in for us. So the benefit for Freie Universität is usually omitted, which means it's kind of no operationalization of why to approach this particular university is visible. And of course, this is not very helpful, because the formats they're being suggested, of course, thanks to the funding organization, with propagate certain formats like double degree programs, but all of you who have ever done and tried to establish such a program understands that is the most complicated, the most difficult format you can choose. And usually cooperation projects from the German very thought through approach is not to do the most complicated format, but do something more easy with less dedication with regard to money and time. The second thing, which is sometimes suggested, just let's sign a memorandum of understanding. And since I'm a lawyer by training, there's no obligation for any partner. So I would always ask the question, why should we sign it if we haven't identified in which area we want to collaborate? Just for the sake of signing, we don't do this type of approach. As I learned when I was in Ukraine, and this is for many universities an important issue, is that international students pay tuition. Unfortunately, not enough students to support the difficult funding situation in Ukraine right now. But of course, this is a limitation, because as a public German university, we are not interested in earning money. So it's even the opposite. So in case someone suggests us money, we get suspicious, and it's not, unfortunately, in our logic. So the first advice, or the first thing is, before reaching out to a partner, please think more about what could be of interest, what makes you more attractive. So about being more smart in what you can do. So the second thing I would suggest is to start, before reaching out to someone you absolutely don't know, is some sort of self-analysis. And to be honest, when I started my role in 2010, so roughly 15 years ago, I remember we did this as a homework at Freie Universität, where we asked all the departments to explain and to collect with whom they are cooperating already. So there was a sort of understanding where we have already ties and connections. And I'm absolutely convinced that all participating universities have already international relations and connections and did projects. So this would be the logical starting point, and try to figure out, is there potential to do more? So this is something which I haven't seen anywhere in the world so far. And maybe when you're the first organization, taking the time to analyze what you have done already, where the partners you trust and who trust you are already existing, maybe this is a good start to discuss further projects, because there is already some connection. The second thing, and this relates to becoming more attractive, is the question, for example, it's a random example, not related to Ukraine, but a general one. When you think your business department is the most active one because they speak very well English, so they're kind of have a big potential, why should any university do business related research or exchange programs with your particular university when they can choose from other universities around the world? So the question is, you should very thoroughly think about what makes your business school or school of business attractive. And I mentioned here a couple of things which might give these arguments. For example, it can be access to data because you have access to archives which are related to the region or to the country or to the city, depending on what the focus of the potential partner is and what your focus is. So we need some resources that are unique, so the potential partner cannot get from somewhere else. Yeah, it might relate to institutions. So if you have access to, for example, to some municipality institutions where you're collaborating already with, it might be on the city level, might be on the country's level, it might be on a level, on a regional level. So if you combine forces with neighboring countries, be it Poland, maybe Moldova, maybe from the Baltic countries, and maybe in bigger networks in which you're integrated. So this is something where you can maybe think about the university next door or across the street. It's not as a competitor, but maybe as a partner for international projects in particular. So when you start to identify your particular strengths, so why are you different from School of Businesses within Ukraine, maybe in Eastern Europe, then we can start discussing what to do, because it becomes clear what makes you very strong. So it's a question of what is already available and what can you bring to the table. The second thing I would highlight, and this relates to the result, to a potential result, to the self-analysis, is this what I would frame as bridges of trust. Since there is already personal contact between scholars, and the more interesting projects are usually not done by the international offices, but by decentralized scholars, by professors, maybe by the teaching staff, is a personal contact, and the question, how can you develop this into something more bigger? Since the pandemic, and of course, since the full-scale war, we know that a lot of events are going online, but online events make it very difficult for in-depth communication. And being in the sphere, you know, the interesting projects, when you have a more or less informal communication, are being developed when you're waiting in the line to get a cup of coffee during the coffee breaks. So if you think about online formats, and we participated in some with our Ukrainian partners, they were lacking of this kind of free space where colleagues could just meet and present their, in a very informal way, so without a scripted agenda, what they are interested in. So this is something which is, of course, difficult in an online format, but I hope, and as far as I can see, many of the Ukrainian colleagues have the chance and the possibility to go abroad to meet the colleagues. And I would always recommend to put the focus on the events, on the coffee breaks and the 30 minutes before the event starts, to make sure you can get in touch with the colleagues. And the second thing, this personal contact is not only among you and maybe potential partner, but the potential partner, they of course have these bridges of trust with third parties as well. So for example, a format you can think of is if you have a connection to one organization and say, well, let's do a joint workshop or maybe a small conference. And you agree, well, I will attract 3 scholars from my university or my region or my country, and you asked the foreign partner to do the same. Because it's much easier to trust a person you know already, and if the partner brings to the table 3 more scholars and maybe a couple of young researchers, then you have 3 parties from each side, 3 participants from each side, and you already have a 1 or a 1.5 day conference, which can be easily conducted online or maybe in the future offline. So this is a very kind of practical approach I would recommend to try, and in my opinion it's much more successful than just sending out letter of interest, let's collaborate. So to start with something you have at your own institution. So the question is how can you become stronger? And here we have the good things that you can unite on the level of the university. So think about how can departments or who two chairs at your own university collaborate to bring more to the table. Sometimes the German language departments are the ones asked, yeah, let's do something related to German language, but this is maybe not the best thing to think of because German language colleagues, of course, are limited in the numbers. Okay, I think I will stop here because the appropriate formats you see here, I talked pretty much all about. So first picking a university which fits your own profile. So we have in Germany the research-oriented universities, the big ones you see in the international rankings. We have a lot of universities following a more applied approach, so they're more into internships, they're more into application of knowledge right away. So this is something you should consider, who fits more into your own profile. We have limitations usually in universities with regards to teaching abroad. So it's not so easy to convince professors to teach abroad because of their KPIs within their home institution. And please do not forget that these bridges of trust are usually built among scholars and less when we start to exchange students, because students come and go. And of course, international office connection is helpful, but the research projects and the big funding lines are usually not for just the mobility, but for research related. So a good approach for international officers would be to make sure you send the scholars abroad to make sure they can gain trust and get in touch with their colleagues. And please keep in mind the Germans are very concise with regards to their time, so they are not very spontaneous. The Germans like to plan ahead. And to estimate the resources they can bring to a table. So a small format like a conference I mentioned already is much easier than a double master's degree. And in particular, when there's difficulties with mobility to all of the involved partners, of course, this is something one, in my opinion, should consider so far. Though I'm at least on the level of Freie State trying to shift a little bit the focus to broaden the possibility for our at least young researchers and experienced research to travel to Ukraine, because I think there's a lot to discover and there is a lot of potential. Okay, with that, I think I will share only my last slide in case you're interested to getting in touch. If the organizers allow and will disseminate the presentation, you feel a lot more thoughts on this. And if you have any questions, please send them to the organizers. I will be happy to answer them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. STÜDEMANN. If you allow, we can to share your presentation to our participants.
Yes, with pleasure. I sent it to Natalia already.
Thank you very much for joining us. Шановні колеги, у нас також є ще представник Європейської комісії,
the representative of the European Commission, Mrs. Eva Kosinska-Lange, policy officer, Directorate of General for Research and Innovation, the European Innovation Council. Miss Eva, are you here? Mrs. Eva, good afternoon. Are you here with us?
Yes, I am. I hope you can hear me now.
The floor is yours. Welcome.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much. And indeed, sorry, I was supposed to be, I think, before Tobias, according to the agenda. But after all, after listening to Tobias, I think it was a very good start to what I would like to say, because all those things that were mentioned by Tobias are quite important if you want to try your chances in the calls that the European Innovation Council is offering. So I think it was a bit of by coincidence, but a very good switch in the agenda. So very quickly, I will guide you through the offer of the EIC and I will explain a bit more detail what is there for Ukrainian innovators, understood as researchers and entrepreneurs as well. First of all, EIC is a quite unique element of Horizon Europe, of the program for research innovation. We are having at the moment in the current program 10 billion euros to spend on breakthrough technologies on innovation, on deep tech as well. And we hope to triple the budget in the upcoming Horizon Europe after 2027, but that's of course subject to negotiations ongoing at the moment with member states as well. EIC is offering so-called one-stop shop for all technology readiness levels. So researchers having idea at the very basic level are very much welcome to our programs, but also already those ones who are trying to commercialize and look for some business case on the basis of the previous research results, and also entrepreneurs, startups, innovative companies who are working on introducing their solutions to the market. What's important is also to understand that we are actually very open in terms of topics. So it's most of the program is bottom up. So it depends on the applicants on what exactly they would like to work on. The technology, the area is free. We are also having some top-down approach in the limited part of our calls. There are some challenges defined by program managers working with us. So these are researchers that are on board with us, and they are kind of looking for challenges, identifying, monitoring, scouting for some ideas. First, maybe rather problems, and then trying to find a challenge that would solve that problem. So in certain calls, we have indeed some defined topics, but as I mentioned, most of them are open. We are working on our work programs, which are annual ones, also following the advice of the EIC board. So this is the expert that are coming from the stakeholders from the outside. These are researchers, entrepreneurs, ecosystem players that are advising us on our directions in terms of funding and ambitions as well. And we also, of course, cooperate with other colleagues within the Horizon Europe program and also sometimes beyond in terms of coordination with funding offered by, for example, European Research Council or European Institute of Innovation and Technology, but also European Innovation Ecosystem Program of Horizon Europe. And we also are quite involved in discussions with member states, with associated countries as it comes to synergies and complementarities with the national fund programs that are having similar goals to what we are doing. Then, as it comes to current discussions, I already mentioned that there is a proposal for the next Horizon Europe on the table being currently discussed, and those activities that we are doing there are quite prominent in that proposal. So there is definitely a long-term vision for working on expanding on the European Innovation Council in the future. But you also can see here some other elements. We are very much aligned with the startup and scale-up strategy, as of course startups are the heart of what we are doing and offering as well. And there is a new Scale Up Europe Fund upcoming next year that will even more strengthen the activities as it comes to investing and technologies in Europe, along other initiatives that are currently being discussed. A few words about impact. There's always a yearly annual report that we are publishing, analyzing the results of funding offered by the EIC so far. So here you can see some latest numbers from last year. What's important to understand that we really have quite a big pipeline of projects funded, also for researchers, but also for companies. And companies are really growing quite significantly after having our funding received. So basically, this is really proving that it's strengthening their potential and we of course to have more and more Ukrainian beneficiaries. I will say a few words more about the special call that it's still open, not so much time left maybe until the deadline, but still I think it's worth mentioning that we as the IC are offering a special funding, a special call to Ukrainian innovators. It's a bit of a follow-up of the currently running project Seeds of Bravery that you might be aware of. And the kind of a next step is to offer the funding for deep tech companies from Ukraine that are working on technologies on the bit of a middle scale, let's say TRL. So basically starting with at least the technology readiness level 4 completed, and would like to mature this technology, but also get ready for the market with the maybe potential future investments within more or less 2 years. So this is what we offer. We have a budget of 20 million, and it's only specifically dedicated to companies from Ukraine. And we will fund, we hope, more or less 40 projects. Quite important to understand that this is open for technologies working on deep tech. So you here have on the slide, you can of course follow this also later on. I will, my slides will be available to you as well. So that's quite important, that it needs to be something, the technology needs to be based on previous science discoveries. Then as it comes to what we expect, indeed, is to scaling up to work on this this technology being described in the proposal within this period of 2 to 3 years to mature it, and also to get ready with some from concrete steps towards the market. These are the main areas in which we expect the projects to be kind of built around. They're quite prominent for Ukraine, as was also, of course, also discussed internally by us with Ukrainian partners about, you know, defining those ones. What's quite important is also that this is also focused on the rebuilding and recovery. The typical question we are getting is dual use and defense allowed, not during the project, as this is Horizon Europe current funding, and this has to be civilian application only, but subsequent use of project results or marketing after the project would be possible. It's just not the funding during the project. That might be focused on that, and to focus a bit on outcomes of those projects we help to fund. There will be a possibility to jump into the ERC accelerator funding, to also hopefully look for some private investors if needed, and of course the visibility of companies will significantly grow. Some specific conditions, as I already mentioned, this is the call designed for companies established in Ukraine or established in Ukraine before 24th of February 2022, and we would like to also see, if possible, some desire to go back in the case of the second condition, but of course it depends on the situation. So that's more eligibility, and this I already mentioned, those more or less two years, but might be a bit longer or shorter if needed. And we will offer between 300,000 and 500,000 euros per project per company, and this is a single beneficiary and single stage also call. One last thing is that all beneficiaries will also be awarded with a possibility to get access to business acceleration services, to improve whatever they are working on, to support also the subsequent application to the EIC accelerator. So that was about Ukraine. Now a bit more general, but of course this is still open to Ukrainian innovators. We just announced the new work program for 2026. So this will be just a very quick look on the current offer. This is our so-called innovation journey. So you can see what programs we are offering. I already mentioned the accelerators, so you can see it on the slide as well. But of course, we are normally starting this description by the EIC Pathfinder, which is the call open to researchers, to consortia, to companies as well, that are working on the low tier levels on breakthrough technologies. So this is one of our key schemes open to all applicants also from Ukraine. Then there is a transition scheme that's offered to those ones who are basing their project on the previous research results. And this is to develop a business case that's open for consortia and for single companies as well. Then we have a pre-accelerator, which is also open at the moment, funded from widening program with the deadline tomorrow. But the Ukrainian call I just was describing, it's a bit more designed for you, I think, but of course it's also possible to apply to this one. And then accelerator that I mentioned for single companies with grants and equity possibility, and EIC STEP, which is going a bit further in terms of equity investments. You see here above up to 30 million possibility of funding. What's new in this new work program now for 26 is the new EIC Advanced Innovation Challenge. So we are now introducing a bit of more like inspiration from ARPA, a bit of a single staged funding, so to say, to try a bit different approaches to work on specific technologies, and then we will offer possibility to go further or maybe stop the project after the first stage if not really proving some success. So that's a very quick overview of what we are offering. This is another quick overview, a lot of numbers here. This is just a summary of the current calls with budgets and timing. So everything is basically coming up. So that's the perfect moment to have a look and to check. All the documents are available on our websites. And there's enough time to analyze possibilities, what would be the best option to apply and to join those consortia. It was also important to mention that in Pathfinder you can also use a hop-on scheme, which is a special scheme dedicated to widening countries, so Ukraine as well, that there's a possibility to join as a new partner to the existing consortium. And that's a bit of an easier way to get in, so to say, to those projects. And the accelerator, as I mentioned, there's this pre-accelerator, also a bit of a similar approach in case of the call for Ukrainian innovators. Some new things I already mentioned, advanced innovation challenges. So this is something new we are now trying, and let's see how this will continue and progress maybe to the next Horizon Europe. Some further changes here as well. Also, in terms of accelerator, we'll have more deadlines, more possibilities to apply and to react a bit more quickly to the proposal being sent to us. I mentioned at the beginning that besides having open calls, we also have challenges. So for 2026, we defined several challenges and different schemes. So in Pathfinder, we have 3, and accelerator challenge, as you can see, there are 5. And in this new approach to advanced innovation challenges, we have 2. If you fit to one of those, I would strongly recommend to apply, because there's usually a bit of a less competition in challenges. But of course, if you do not fit to any of them, for Pathfinder and for challenges in accelerator, there's always a possibility to apply as an open call without any defined topic. And to summarize a bit of still overview of the nearest future, we will shortly work on already on amendment of the current work program for 2026, adding possibilities to fund EIC accelerator project focus on dual use, and also STEP in terms of defense. This is coming up next year. As the agreement was reached recently on that, then we can progress to some implementation steps. And also, as it comes to Scale Up Europe Fund, I mentioned this new initiative that is also coming up next year. We need to amend the work program for 2026. And then the last work program for 2027, last one in the current Horizon Europe, will be also coming up at the end of next year, with some continuation of what we are doing now and some further piloting of this advanced innovation challenges. So that's more or less the current planning. And one last information from my side: if you would like to find out a bit more details about our current work program for 2026, more details also about the challenges, but more, to the topic, it's perfect moment, because tomorrow, on Friday and on Monday, we will have online info days. And they will be recorded, so even if you cannot participate live, it will be possibility to follow them later on as well, to understand a bit the philosophy behind and our expectations as it comes to proposals. So I encourage you to check our website and to look for all those information. And also, of course, always a possibility to look for support at the Horizon Europe office in Kiev, and also those two projects that I mentioned on the slide, offering some additional support and access to the EIC calls. That will be it from my side. Thank you very much. And in case of any questions, you can also come back to me later on. And as I said, slides will be available to you. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Ms. Kosinska-Lange. If you allow, we can share your presentation to our participants, and thank you for joining us. Колеги, також у нас є ще одна представниця наукової спільноти. Це пані Janka MATRAI, спеціалістка з питань
Janka
науки
MATRAI, she's a
виконавчої
specialist
агенції
in
Європейської
science
дослідницької
issues
ради.
of
Пані
European
Janka розповість нам про
research
гранти ERC.
Council. She's
Ms.
going
MATRAI, good afternoon.
to
Are you
tell
with us?
us about grants of URC. Are you with us?
Janka, do you hear us? Технічне питання.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Somehow I just couldn't.
But I'm sorry, but we don't see your presentation. Can you share it?
Yes. Do you see
Okay,
it?
it's our problem in our screen. All is good.
Normally it should come up now as a full screen very soon.
Moment. I think it's so bad internet.
1 second. I try. Okay, and I'm going to change the.
Can you share your presentation one more?
Okay, is it not shared?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm going to try again, because normally it should be sharing. At least this is what I see on my side, so I'm not sure what's happening over there. I try again.
If you have some technical issues, you can send your presentation to us,
Yes,
and we can share it.
because on my side, I try again. I sent the presentation, but I don't understand because I saw it sharing, so something must have happened. Okay, let's try one more time. Okay.
Yes, we see your presentation.
All right.
Can you share on full screen?
Yes, I'm going to do that one more time, and I hope it's going to work now. It's just somehow not reacting. Let's try again. Okay, so, and I need to select here. It should be fine. Can you see it now?
One more. Just 1 second. I think it's a better internet.
I'm on cable. I don't know.
Yes.
Can you? I see it. I mean, I see it very good on my side.
Can you send your presentation to us?
Yes, I've sent it already. I can send it from time because somehow I don't understand. On my side, everything looks perfect.
Okay, we try to share a presentation by our side.
Okay.
Let's start maybe, okay? Oh, great.
Okay.
You see your presentation?
Well, I see it. I will try to make it a full screen so that I can see it a bit bigger. Okay, yes, I can see it. Okay, so I sincerely apologize for this technical issue. I really don't know what has been going on. Yeah, I'd like to start with thanking for this opportunity, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here today and to give this presentation. And so I'm Janka MATRAI. I'm a scientific product advisor at the European Research Council's Executive Agency, and I manage projects mainly for the Advanced Grant Scheme, for the LS2 panel, which is integrative biology from genes and genomes to systems, and also recently in the Synergy scheme. But I have many years of experience with the consolidator and also the starting grant schemes. I'm also a coordinator of the Widening European Participation Working Group here at the agency in close collaboration with the Scientific Council. And so with today's presentation, I would like to give you an overview of our funding schemes, recent updates, and additional support programs mechanisms. Next slide, please. All right, so this is the Horizon Europe funding framework program. As you all know, we fund scientific excellence and innovation, and the structure is outlined by this slide. It has main three pillars. First one being the excellent science, and this is where the European Research Council is located, together with other actions, for example, the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. There is a cross-cutting program called Widening Participation and Strengthening the European Research Area, which is also very important for the widening and some of the associated countries. Next slide, please. This is just to show you the evolution of our budget from the very beginning, which was in 2007. This is when the European Research Council was set up. And so you see with the arrow indicated that we are in year 2025. Indeed, we have 2 more years to go, not counting the finishing one, the current one, from this Horizon Europe program. I just would like to ask you to retain this 36.5 billion, which is the overall budget that the European Research Council has ever received during the entirety of its existence. And this is important because, of course, as you know, budget negotiations have been ongoing for some time already for the next framework program, which is called FP10 for now. And you know that there is this Draghi report in which a strong request was made and an indication towards the necessity of doubling this budget. And so next slide, please. Indeed, this is what we hope to have. You can immediately appreciate that this is a structure for the next framework program proposed at the moment. Of course, this is still under negotiation. You see that the 4 pillars are retained, the 3 as it is now in Horizon Europe, and this cross-cutting program panel became a 4th pillar, or will become, hopefully. We will see. This is nevertheless the proposal, and this is the basis of all the negotiations that are ongoing currently. And so there is indeed a very strong budget that is proposed, 44 billion for the whole pillar 1. A substantial amount of that is going to be, if everything is going according to the plans and negotiations, given to the European Research Council, which is indeed going to be in the ballpark of doubling of our the Horizon Europe budget. If you want to know more about this, I added a link at the bottom of the slide. You can find more information on that page. Next slide, please. So what do? We give out funds, long-term, in the shape of long-term grants, and we want to, and actually we invest into excellence, scientific freedom, and frontier research. And so we do not care about the domain of science. We fund projects from life sciences, physical sciences and engineering, social sciences and humanities. We welcome applicants from all over the world. We fund individual researchers as well as smaller teams. This is a synergy scheme, and we want to invest into pioneering ideas and into research that pushes the frontiers of a given field further. Next slide, please. May I have the next slide, please? Yeah, thank you. So, why to apply for an ERC grant? We offer independence, recognition, and visibility. We support bottom-up research topic of the choice of our applicants, and this is an unprecedented freedom, what we actually would like to highlight and as an important feature of our grants. And we invest into ERC projects that aim at knowledge, intellectual value generation. So we do not have any prerequisites for societal preferences. Of course, as the nature of research and discovery and scientific development goes, there are going to be societal benefits. That this is not something that we want our researchers to direct their research towards to. And so this is really a bottom-up research idea, and the funding of that idea that we are aiming at. Our research grantees gain financial autonomy of at least 5 years. This is the basic period of duration of our so-called single PI grants. I'm going to tell you more about that later. Our grantees have a very strong card in their hands for negotiating for the best conditions of work with the host institution or moving with their grants to another host institution. They can attract excellent team members and collaborators from anywhere in the world, and they can move with their grant already actually or before even signing the grant agreement, and anytime during the period of the grant within the EU and associated country area. And so, of course, our grants are also acting as magnets, attracting additional funding to the grant holders, to the grantees. Next slide, please. Okay, so what do we actually fund? And what is the important element in an application for us to be able to fund that research proposal? Or that application? Indeed, the most important element is the research project itself and the excellent idea. So we are looking for this excellence with a bit of higher weight in the research project, but also we want to find excellent PIs who carry out this research. In terms of evaluation, indeed, the idea, the research part of the proposal carries more weight and more importance. Nevertheless, we also evaluate to some extent the researchers, the applicants. And so in a research project, we are looking for its groundbreaking nature, its ambitiousness, though terminology here was high risk, high gain. And because of a bit of a confusion there, that's how we reframed it, but we are still looking for ambitious and not more like incremental proposals. And of course, to some extent, the feasibility of the research project also needs to be demonstrated. When evaluating the applicant, we are looking for the demonstrated intellectual capacity, the creativity, and the commitment to the proposed research, and also in terms of capacity, how the track record, the CV of the applicant can at least assure the ERC that the proposed research project will be carried out as proposed by the applicant. I'd like to say that typically a strong and brilliant research idea is going to get a good score, depending on the budget, also a fund is going to get funded, even if the CV or the track record of the applicant is somewhat weaker. But a stellar CV is not going to save a mediocre or an incremental research proposal. Now, I several times said the word somewhat, and I understand that this is a bit of a gray zone. What does it mean somewhat weaker? What does it mean some feasibility? And this points to perhaps another important term in the context of an ERC application, and that is balance. So there should be a right balance somehow between the brilliant idea, the bottom-up research idea, that one that pushes the research frontiers forward, and still some demonstrated feasibility, so that it's not going to completely just fly away without producing any results. At the same time, we do not require any strict deliverables, any predetermined societal benefits. So it's really a kind of balance that the applicant has to find when aiming for a successful application. And I'm going to show you later some sources where you can actually get information how to write a good application and how to strike this balance. About our research evaluation criteria, you can find more information on the sites for which I added the link to this slide. Next slide, please. All right, so these are our funding schemes. The first three being the starting, the consolidator, and the advanced grant. And so here you can see that they are targeting our research, our applicants, depending on where they are in their career stage, with the youngest one eligible for the starting grant, where you can apply anywhere between 2 to 7 years after your PhD. A consolidator grant is a little bit more advanced scientist, but not yet fully consolidated. And so this consolidator grant aims at providing money for those who wishes to consolidate a research lab. The eligibility window here is between 7 to 12 years after PhD defense. And finally, the more senior scientist, or let's say anyone who is more senior than a consolidator grant applicant, is welcome to apply for our advanced grants. Here, I would like to mention that the period for each three is of 5 years, and of course can be extended depending on some conditions. If you are interested, I can tell you more about that, answering to your questions. And another important feature is that next to the basic budget, an additional up to 1 million extra budget can be requested for various reasons. For example, moving from a non-EU country to an EU or associated country, or asking extra budget because you want to have access to a large facility, or you want to do field work which costs a lot of money, and so on. The amount you request is has to be justified. It's not an automatic 1 million. It can be anything from 0 to 1 million, and you have to explain why you think that you are eligible for the extra budget that you requested. Now, next to the single PI schemes, there is the so-called synergy, where instead of one applicant, we have a team of applicants. The team can be of 2 to 4 maximum applicants or principal investigators. And very interestingly, one of these principal investigators can stay outside of Europe during the entire duration of the grant. So they do not, one of the team members doesn't have to relocate to Europe or an associated country. Otherwise, the idea behind is the same. There is the basic budget, which is for this scheme is 10 million. The duration is 6 years instead of 5, and the additional budget is available to all the PIs in the team. If you have 4, then it's a maximum of 4 million. Again, it has to be justified, and the 4 million is a ceiling. It's not an automatic possibility in addition to the basic budget. I'd like to mention the proof of concept, which is a bit, or let's say, the most different from all the others. It's a much smaller grant. There are several features of this grant which makes it still popular. First of all, it can you can apply for a proof of concept grant multiple times, not just once in a calendar year. However, this scheme is available only for those who are grant holders of any of the other 4. And the success rate is also, much better, higher than for the others. And the idea behind the proof of concept grant is bridging the gap between research and the earlier stage of marketable innovation. And here, unfortunately, on this version, the slide, I don't have it, but I'm going to resend my most current one. They also bridge between the ERC and the EIC. So there is a scheme which allows that, and I added the link to the most updated site, so you will be able to click it and find out more about that if you are interested. So, and one more thing, very important thing to mention, we actually do not require from our grantees to stay in Europe or an associated country for the full time. The minimum we require is 50%. And so this also makes it attractive to applicants who do not want to give up, for example, an already existing lab in a non-European country. So yeah, with that, I would like to move to the next slide. Okay, so here I just want to show you how you can apply, what are the main steps. So first, you send in your application, and this is going to be evaluated in the first step, which is first a kind of remote step. We read your proposal, and in that step is very important. We read only the first part of your proposal and your CV, which will be your CV and track record and other achievements. And then once we have read that, the panel members that we assign to your proposal, these are experts acting on the different panels. They are going to meet in brothers, and they evaluate. This step, there are scores given out. A for those who as the second step, B and C are for those which are not going to carry further, and for those the evaluation is going to stop in this stops in this first step. Recently, we have in a fourth category, that is the so-called A, not invited. I would say that this is more like, unfortunately, an administrative step because of the very large number or huge number of applications that we have been receiving recently. And this has a limit to the number of proposals that we pass to the second step, and that is to limit it to 44. I'm going to explain you why this 44. Important thing that for those proposals, applications which received B or C in step 1, there is a kind of reapplication ban for a period of 1 or 2 years. 1 year for those which received B in step 1, and 2 years for those which receive C in step 1. Now let's see what is happening with those which are in step 2. So within this A invited, the 44 maximum. In step 2, the full proposal is evaluated, meaning the first part and the second part and the CV, and not just by the panel members, but not just by the panel members, but also by invited external reviewers or remote reviewers who are pinpointed experts on the topic of the proposal. And then again, a meeting is held. in Brussels with interviews. So the applicants are joining in remotely to the panel meeting in a defined slot, and they can defend their proposal via a presentation and via a Q&A session with the panel. Again, the score is given. A score is given those which are eligible for funding, meaning some of them is going to get funded because we have the budget for it. Unfortunately, we cannot fund all our A's. We never have enough budget. Those A's are out of budget, will be on the reserve list and can be funded from different schemes, either national schemes, or if they are lucky, then there is a kind of move up from the reserve list to the main list, then they got funded from the ERC scheme. And there is also a possibility for funding from the European Regional and Development Fund. Those who receive B are not going to get funded, but they do not have a reapplication ban, so they can apply the year after. In each both steps, we give extensive feedback to our applicants. Now, the 44 limit was introduced because in the step 2 meeting, we just simply cannot carry out more than 44 interviews. Next slide, please. This is the ERC's panel structure. This is where you will send in your proposal when you apply to us. And this is very important. That is just an indication to our applicants to guide them where they can actually send in the proposal, where they will find the experts, the panel that is best fit to evaluate the research project. Next slide, please. I would immediately like to highlight that this panel structure and the panel descriptors do not represent scientific priorities. So we really encourage you to apply even with cross-disciplinary proposals, which you would think that fits in multiple of these panels. That is absolutely not a problem for us because we can assign so-called cross-panel reviewers. So panel members from other panels are invited to evaluate those highly complex inter or cross-disciplinary proposals. So, and as this slide shows, all scientific fields are eligible for ERC funding. We do not have any predetermined priorities. And frontier research is also expected in pharmacological, medical, or clinical, and cross-disciplinary fields. I highlight this because we typically receive less of those proposals. The proof of concept grants are also a good tool to prepare for future clinical trials. Host institution is not an evaluation criterion, so it is also very strongly linked to the mobility idea or portability idea of our grants. Success rate is not linked to academic age. Actually, it's quite flat across all the three single PI codes, independent of where you are in your academic career and academic age, because actually your research proposal is evaluated within the context of career. Publication record is not decisive in selection decisions. I like to really highlight this. So as we used to say it, it's an international jargon. Our successful applicants, the grantees, do not necessarily have to have the Nature, Science and Cell papers to get an ERC grant. Mobility is not an evaluation criterion. We are not going to look for in your CV whether you moved from one country and another and then to a third country and then back or to a fourth country. But we are trying to see whether you can be an independent scientist. There are different possible indications for that. For example, the winning of a travel grant for starting grant applicants, or having your first national grants and so on, just to show that you can actually shape your own idea and own research direction. Supervision activities and obtain funds are also not evaluated. Of course, if you have and you have those achievements to strengthen your CV, please do not leave them out from your CV, but you are not going to be penalized if they are not present. Now, a novel methodology is also not required per se for a successful application. Of course, if your proposal is a kind of directed towards developing methods, then it's understandable that the evaluating panel would see what is the novelty on that front in your proposal. But if your proposal has nothing to do with method development, you do not have to force your proposal and include and jam into it also method development just because you think that would look good in the eye of the evaluators. So this is something that is often a misconception, and I'd like to tell you that we do not require for a successful application novel methodology. Yes, next slide, please. Okay, so now a few slides on what is new. So the Choose Europe is something that is now in place, and there is going to be an ERC Plus scheme, so a new scheme which is going to provide funding for 7 years with a budget of 7 million, and more. We will have more about that later. For now, this is all what I can say. Next slide, please. There are a few changes already present in the current 2026 work program. And so, as you can see, for example, highlighting one of the most important is that synergy applicants who were unsuccessful in the first step, meaning they have received a B in the 2025 call, couldn't apply to 26 and is going to be most probably carried further on also to the next call. And so I highly recommend always to consult the current work program for the 2026 call calendar. I put the link here, and if we move to the next slide, there is going to be also another link to also to the 2027, which is provisional for now, but there are rather substantial changes expected to take place in the 2027, and that is that the eligibility window is going to change for the starting and the consolidator grant. From this 2 to 7 years for the starting years, it's going to be a total of 10 years, a 10-year period, starting directly after the PhD defense, running up to 10 years, and then somewhat overlapping with that, so exactly for 5 years overlapping, the consolidator grant scheme is going to be available for applicants after 5 years after the PhD defense and finishing at the 15th year. So that's also a 10-year period. One more important change, one starting grant and one consolidator grant can be given to a successful applicant during their career. After this, they apply for the advanced grant. The eligibility extension categories, for example, maternity period, parental leave, military service, clinical, etc., remain. There is going to be one more, and that is related to gender or any other kind of violence. So yes, next slide, please. This is our core calendar.
Ms. MATRAI, I apologize. As we have some problem with internet, electricity, so we have bad connection. Later, maybe you summarize your presentation.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So
is it possible, please?
Yes, we can go to the next. I have 3
because
more.
Because we have a very bad connection.
Very bad connection. I really apologize for that, because on my side everything is perfect. I really very sorry. Okay, yes, next slide, please. Here is this. These are the links where you can get more information on how to apply for an ERC grant. And then the next slide, please. Yes. This is a collection of opportunities with links for additional funding opportunities, from which, if you move to the next slide, I'd like to highlight the most important one, which is the mentoring initiative, of which Ukraine is participating since 2024. And then I arrive to my closing slide. Next slide, please. Here is just to encourage our life scientists to apply, because we see that the number of life sciences applications are very much dropping, which is an alarming trend, and we would like to stop that. And then with the next slide, I would like to thank for your attention, and I apologize for this technical problem. Yes, this is the take-home message. So please apply, because any idea has a chance. You can win only if you apply. The project is more important than your CV. Please improve your support network and use our instruments, the grant, the support links, the granting offices, your national contact point, and plenty of webinars available. I added all the links to my presentation. Thank you so much.
Janka, thank you so much for your presentation, for these useful materials. If you allow, we can to share your presentation to our participants.
Yes. And I will send you the most updated version.
Yes, thank you. Отже, колеги, ми зараз перейдемо до такої практичної сесії, до такої сесії, як я вже говорив, як це можна реалізувати. Це, звичайно, тільки невеличка частинка можливостей, їх є надзвичайно багато.
That was just a part of the opportunities, but we are going to talk more about the opportunities, and we are trying to invite more speakers from European Council. For those who were not able to see our presentations, you will have this chance later. We will share all the presentations later, and you will be able to use them. Now, for success, now we're going to share successful stories, and I'm going to invite Mr. Slivka, and he's going to talk to us about hybrid materials. Mr. Mikhailo Slivka, please, the floor is yours. Hello. We would like to first present our Uzhhorod University. It's a scientific research center in the very western part of our country. And I am going to talk with you about chalcogen halide materials and other hybrid materials. And we started working with them in 2023. So we're going to talk about success. We all have different types of success. This is a classic scheme. It's about planning, implementation. I believe that scientists worked in this fashion 50 years ago as well, because this is a classic idea. Based on this idea, we can do various things, and they differ from project to project, but we use these classic schemes. I didn't do anything. It's not just classic schemes. These challenges relate to our scientific research activity. We have medicine of emergency situations now, and that's where we work. We have many norms and regulations, and we also need materials for our research, and this is why. And please pay attention that, for example, materials for biology, for chemistry, for different other areas of research. Can you show the next slide, please? On this slide,
В основному це неорганічна хімія, це ми знаємо будівельні матеріали, суміші, оксидні метали, конструкції. Звичайно, є і органічної хімії чуть-чуть, це пінопласти, полімери в основному. Ми спробували не так глянути на ці уявлення.
So we're gonna thematically talk about we know how functional materials were created, and we work with materials in different ways. We want to have material, and then we are going to the nature material is the secondary part. Okay, next slide. Our team that you see on this slide, we mostly have here representatives of organic chemistry. This is the area in which we work. This approach, of course, we started to implement not even yesterday. We work in this fashion for a few years. From the times of COVID, we sent our proposals, our requests to various international grants, whatever we could, and we had success. But success, normally young researchers have received funding in the area of organic chemistry. For example, for chemicals for agriculture or antimicrobic means or means for anti-corrosion. So there were advantages and disadvantages of our project. We analyzed various comments from various evaluators, and this is how we came up with this idea to work with hybrid materials at the intersection of various areas of organic chemistry, and everything worked out very well. We received funding, and we had a number of projects which were funded, and that was a great advancement for us. And I'm talking here about our team that works in the area of organic chemistry, biology, and other areas, cross-cutting areas, and we crystallized our idea and realized what exactly we wanted to do. Our team, it's a very important criteria of success for any project, because many of us may think that it's all about the head, the manager of the project. Maybe that, of course, the role of the manager is important as well, but in the first place, it's all about team, and the team is a very important criteria. And we started to work on chalcogen halide materials. It's the area of chemistry which is used by everyone, organic chemists and also computer chemistry. On the basis of this work, our team crystallized a number of areas, and you see these directions on the slide. But of course, our activity is a lot broader. But we developed indicators for various areas, which helped us to measure achievement of results, because we wanted to be very clear about the results we wanted to achieve. And we also have, since we have a team with experience, we decreased the risks that related to human resources. And risks are very important. It's an informal thing, but you may have all kinds of risks, and those risks can compromise achievement of the set results or expected results. And we live in a complicated time, and we need to have highly qualified human resources. And we receive support from various colleagues from Kiev. We have everyone's in a while we cooperate with various colleagues. We had no problems with the first project. We moved perfectly aligned with the plan. And there are also synthetic or scientific risks. They are also very important, and they can compromise achievement of the goals you've set. We had to deal with those risks because we had to model one thing. We were modeling one thing, but in reality, everything works out differently. We sent our proposal in February. We got the answer only during the summer, but we didn't sit just sit there doing nothing. We worked all this time, and you can see the risks that we had to work with. We understood that we could not cope with all the risks, such as human resources, technical or scientific risks, materials, and equipment. So we had to change our proposal. So we introduced necessary changes, and everything started to work much better. We wrote articles to scientific journals about our activity. Those articles, we reflected how we dealt with the risks we faced, and what instruments, what tools we used, and what tools we had to use in order to achieve the goals that we set. And of course, we had to do all of this in collaboration with our colleagues. Is that it? Is it it? As for the project, very briefly, I'll tell you about our project. It lasts for a year and a half, and we work with heterodyne materials. We work with cations, and diffusion, and what determines the value of the material. So we work with precursors, then we develop the materials that we study, and we showed that this chain can lead to increase of value of the materials. And we can see that our hypothesis was proved, and we keep on working in this direction. I cannot say that we do not have any problems, because we have to find necessary materials for the continuation of the project, but really hope that we will be successful with our project. Now, this is a story also that tells us that if we were not optimists, we would not even dare to work on a project like this. So what I want to say in the end is that be brave, send your proposal, work, try to find different ways to implement your projects, and believe in the best, and you will, sooner or later, you will be a winner with the project you implement. So keep sending your proposals, and if you fail the first time, keep on trying, and you will certainly succeed. Now, the next topic, the next area is has to do with hybrid perovskite materials. I'm not going to talk in detail about perovskite materials. We had to change our approaches because those are totally different organic compounds, and these materials are useful for optic materials, and these materials, they have better mechanical qualities and technical and mechanical qualities. And in the beginning, we had a wrong approach to working with these compounds, and we had to restructure our approach as we worked on this project. And you can see the formula of the material that we worked with. That is what we wanted to synthesize. And now we have, it didn't work first, but this is a scheme how we eventually were able to succeed. You see all the formulas, we have preliminary results.
So we have prepared, and I think that we will publish them next year. So as of today, our result is to get the proper material. And another part, those are organic materials, functional materials for medicine, for application in medicines. This is about antimicrobial materials, but they have also another features that are suitable for the medicine. So we have studied the structure, we have learned how to grow the monocrystals, and we have developed the new methodologies of how to use the X-rays. There are some specific nuances in the microbiology. But actually during the last a year and a half, we have the number of publications. You can see here the list.
Нас обнадіяли результати, і в даному випадку наші прогнози повністю справдились. Перед тим, як закінчити, іще один момент.
So it is important not only to prepare the application and planning, but it is very important also to be heard, like it is here today, as you can be seen and heard. So it is very important that you are visible not only in Europe, but also here in Ukraine. So since COVID times, this opportunity to get together in person is a very rare opportunity, and such in-person meetings and the conferences are very important for all the researchers, so that the results of our research were visible, we were known, and we were heard about. Thank you very much. Pane Mikhailo, thank you very much. During the networking, you will be able to put all the questions to Mr. Mikhailo. I'm going to invite Mrs. Olga Zvirko, head of the Department of Diagnostics of Materials of Corrosion and Hydrogen Degradation of Karpenko Physico-Mechanical Institute of the NAS of Ukraine. Hello everyone, hello colleagues, dear colleagues. I have an honor today to share the results of our project fulfilled under the financial support of the NRFU within the competition Science for the Recovery of Ukraine during War and Post-War Period. The project was implemented by the team of authors. So those are experts from different specialties, different areas of science. There is so within the team of our authors, we have the leading researchers as well as researching youths. That is our as of today, the problem of the project is very actual, because we can see that in today's conditions, we need to ensure the stability of our energy system. That is a very important issue for the security of our country. That is why the energy grid has to be modernized, involving the alternative sources of energy, including hydrogen energy, and it lies within the general policy of European Union and the Ukrainian policy as well. This relates to the European Green Deal, and raising the resilience of energy security of the Europe and Ukraine in particular. One of the most of the biggest challenges here in this transition is the hydrogen infrastructure. As of today, we see that to transport hydrogen, there is not enough national hydrogen networks. So we need to use fast transmission networks to transport hydrogen. And within the frames of European hydrogen backbone, up to 2030, 70% of hydrogen pipelines will be used on the basis of the gas transmission network. And within this initiative, Ukraine is defined as a priority partner due to its potential of producing hydrogen and due to the good connections with the European Union. That is why Ukraine is developing perspective governmental plans to develop the facilities for producing hydrogen and the possibilities to transport it. There are different legal acts that are ensuring these activities. If we will be able to transport hydrogen instead of natural gas, it will save us money and time, because to construct the new pipelines is much more costly than using the old ones, and we will be able to use our gas transmission network because, as you know, it is not now used for the transporting of gas. Before the modernization of our gas transmission network, whether they are available, they are good in such purposes. This can also increase the risks of damages, degradation of the pipelines, and potential influence, negative influence on the metal within this structure. So the purpose of our project was to assess the serviceability of pipe stills and the possibility of using them for transporting hydrogen. To achieve this goal, we used the previous experience we got during cooperation with the gas transmission operator, and when we were researching the serviceability of the pipelines. And also we were researching the uncontrolled damage of pipelines, and we need to use effective methods and means how to assess the technical state of metal and to assess its serviceability, taking into account the level of degradation and operational conditions. Earlier we have showed that even during gas transportation, the metal may be hydrogenated from the inner surface as a result of corrosion. And this leads to specific kinds of damages, and we saw the lower level of the crackings and so on. During the transportation of hydrogens, we will have another source of hydrogenation that can increase the risk of such kind of damages to pipelines. So that is why the purpose of the project was to develop the methodology to assess the serviceability of pipe stills in existing pipelines. That is why we have developed this chart of indicators that are influencing serviceability of a pipe still. In short, the main results of our project are as follows. We have analyzed the influence of hydrogen on the metal in long operation in terms of susceptibility to embrittlement. So we were assessing the steels of the same brand, but with the pipes being in operation and as received. And we have analyzed the cracks, the embrittlement, and how the higher concentration of hydrogen enforces more damages. Also, the degradation of mechanical peculiar features of the steels, and how do they influence the steels.
Цей чинник було враховано в роботі. Виготовляли зразки, вирізані в різних напрямах відносно напряму вальцування. І, як бачимо, розшарування цього пошкодження збільшує на поперечних зразках.
You can see on different types of steel. For evaluation of this susceptibility sensitivity, we use different modes of filling, which reflected different types of pressure of hydrogen in the pipe, and after this filling we can see how those pipes were damaged, and we conducted an evaluation of fragility and plasticity, and we see that the steel we exploited was more susceptible to with the compared with the other variant. So everything depends on the action of hydrogen and different reasons that caused damage for different types of steel. We saw layering of the steel, different types of steel in different conditions of steel, and also for exploited steel. You can see either a small damage or a larger damage, which depended on intensity of hydrogen or its action. We also evaluated the impact of hydrogen, which is also a very important characteristic, and we used engineering calculations for evaluation of eligibility of the steel and resource of this metal and other indicators, and we saw that with hydrogen these indicators were coming down, and you can see the results on the slide. We also took into account the low speed of diffusion of the metal of steel. Also the speed and intensity of impact, and that gave us an opportunity to increase our indicators of hydrogen impact and what leads to cracking of those pipes. This is how, based on our research, we developed criteria of steel eligibility, depending on various types of hydrogen impact and steel, which was in critical condition due to low level of plasticity. And the level, we also were able to determine the level of damage. Is a critical state of steel, how strong the metal is, and how it accounts for the impact and pressure of hydrogen. You can see recommendations here for the evaluation that we used. Different types of impact of pressure, and this criteria takes into account various damages which related to cracking. I also want to point out that this research that we conducted and calculations that we've done shows that this concrete steel can be used for transportation of hydrogen, because critical indicators are not reached, and
Відповідно, підсумовуючи, зазначу, що в роботі
To sum up,
розроблено опробовано методологію
I'll
оцінювання
say that
роботоздатності
we developed
стрілей
methodology
за
for
транспортування
evaluation
вогню. Вона дає
and tested
можливість
this
оцінити,
methodology
за
and
яких
gives
умов
us an
можна
opportunity
транспортувати
to
нашими
understand what
вітчизняними
conditions are
трубопроводами води.
necessary,
І
are
дає
needed for
можливість
transportation of
операторам
hydrogen, and
газотранспортної
we
мережі
provide
як
information for
оцінити точний
operators
технічний стан
of
металу, його
hydrogen.
роботоздатність за
Now
дію водню,
they are
так
going to be
і
able to
приймати обґрунтовані
determine
рішення щодо того,
the
чи може певна ділянка бути використана для
eligibility of
транспортування
this
водню, чи
material
вона
and
потребує
whether the
певної
steel pipes can
модернізації,
be
чи
used for
вжиття
transportation of
додаткових
hydrogen.
заходів безпеки. Для енергетичної
For
галузі це
the area
безумовно
of energy,
сприятиме
it is a
підвищенню
very
стійкості
important
енергетичної системи, оскільки
information because
дасть
it will
можливість
help to
залучити
improve the
додаткові
quality
альтернативні
of their
джерела енергії
transportation
і,
systems,
крім
and they
того,
will also
використати наші
be
наявні
able
ресурси,
to
тобто нашу
use
газотранспортну
all
мережу, яка
possible resources, our
наразі не
transportation, gas
використовується
transportation system,
для прямого
which is
призначення
not
для транзиту газу.
used for the transit
Зазначу, що в рамках
of
реалізації проєкту
gas.
було придбане сучасне
We were
обладнання
able
за
to
рахунок
also
грантових коштів.
procure
Це
a
сучасний
very
дослідницький комплекс для
modern
електрохімічних
and
досліджень.
necessary
Це
equipment,
стрічкопильний
which helped
верстат.
us to do
І
all that
також
research. You can
результати
see this
дослідження були
equipment
широко
on the
опубліковані. 812
slide now.
статей у
We
виданнях
also
з різними
wrote
біометричними
and
базами
published
даних Web of Science
12
та
scientific
Scopus,
research
в тому числі
articles in
і
various
один.
scientific journals about the
Ось
research that we conducted.
результати проєкту
And
були
the results of the projects
оприлюднені, поширені під час
were
проведеного
announced during
інформаційного
information
семінару, на який були
seminar,
залучені як
and
представники оператора
representatives of
газотранспортної мережі,
operator
так і
were
науковці
invited
з різних
to
регіонів
that
країни.
event, also researchers from various
І
areas of
також
Ukraine.
результати дослідження
Now,
були
here you can see the
широко
results of
доповідалися,
our
обговорювалися
research.
на багатьох міжнародних наукових,
They are
науково-технічних
enumerated on this slide, and they
конференціях.
were broadly discussed at various scientific conferences or seminars. And it's the
Дякую за
end.
увагу. У мене все. Буду
Thank
рада
you for your
відповісти на
attention.
запитання під час
I
обговорення,
will
якщо
be
в
happy
когось
to
вони
answer
виникатимуть.
any of your questions during the networking hour.
Пані Ольго, дякуємо вам за представлену вашу успішну історію. Ми поговорили про історії, звичайно, їх багато, так як нас обмежений час, вибрали для вас декілька. Я думаю, що в подальшому ми також будемо їх обирати, будемо про них говорити. Зараз перейдемо до успішних кейсів в рамках програми «Горизонт Європа». І, власне, запрошую пана Стефана Зайченко, професора кафедри автоматизації електротехнічних та мехатронних комплексів Національного технічного університету, Київський політехнічний інститут імені Сікорського. І також представлю пані Оксану Вовк, вона лідерка робочого проекту «Розбудова потенціалу та мобілізація локальних знань в Україні». Але, так розумію, через технічні причини вона не зможе до нас доєднатися. Тому, пане Стефане, вам слово. Вітаємо вас.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to present our project. The name of the project is Ukrainian cities on the way of climate neutrality. This project has joined around 20 representatives both from Europe and Ukraine. The leader of the project is Oksana Alexeyevna Vovk. She is the director of the Institute of Energy Saving and Energy Management of the Kyiv Technical Institute of after Yehor Sikorsky. How did we start this project? Certainly a great role in shaping the image has been made by the participation in our international cooperations. KPI имени Sikorsky has a lot of international relations, and it has great prior experience of implementing different projects both on national level and international level. So what is the context of this project? Certainly that is setting up a climate neutral and smart cities. Generally, in Ukraine, we have two big projects, UCAN and Sun for Ukraine, currently being implemented in Ukraine. It is working with the pilot cities, and within these projects, we are accepting European standards and European experience, and we have a lot of events, joint conferences. For example, this month we had a large conference with the participation of all the representatives of city mission. Also, we have established a great platform of Ukraine, and the participants from the Europe are actively supporting our team, taking into account the difficult situation we are currently in as a country. The focus of our team is on the ecological problems, increasing the energy efficiency and the rational usage of underground space. What do we mean here? The matter is that European cities 50 years ago have started to use the potential of underground space. Unfortunately, in Kyiv, we have a two-level movement, and in Munich, for example, today they have five-level movement. So we are now working on these technologies to develop our underground space, certainly taking into account the situations that our cities and the infrastructure of our cities are currently in. On the other side, we can utilize the transport emissions and to use them in a technologically correct way. The next thing is the study of energy sector in Ukraine, using digital technologies, taking into account the existing infrastructure for electricity transmission, and generally the ecotopes and the I have to say that the potential is not equally distributed all over the territory of Ukraine, so we have to think about the most efficient way to use them. So we are now able to create the interactive maps and that can show us how we can develop this or that kind of energy. I mean, solar energy, wind energy, or other alternative sources of energy. The main results of the Sikorsko University is establishing a guide that will include the results of all the activities of the UNCAN project, and it will also include the existing the best practices from the European cities in this regard. Also, I have just told you about that. That is basically the handbook on the climate neutrality. We will have a specialized webinar to take part in it, but it will be very interesting, and the results will be integrated into the curricula and educational programs in our university, and also probably these results will be integrated in the European curriculum.
Далі остаточним, по суті, завершенням роботи є
Well,
організація
as the final result of our work is the
на
implementation
рівні
of the
представників
strategic discussions at the level of the
МДА,
representatives
тобто
of
на рівні
the city,
тобто
state
на рівні
administration
представників
and
міст.
the representatives, that is the representatives of city
Ключовими факторами
authorities.
успіху
The key
є
factors for success
комунікація.
is
Це в
communication.
даному випадку це представлені наші координатори.
Here you can see our
З
coordinating
нашим
officers.
координатором є Дрезденський технічний університет.
Our
Саме
coordinating
в
partner is
результаті
Dresden Technical
комунікації з ними
University. As a
запросили
result of
нас
communication
до
with
участі
them, we have
в
been
даному
invited
проєкті.
to take part in this project.
Ну і звісно, що
And
хочеться
certainly,
відзначити
I
внутрішню
would like
підтримку
to
КП імені
admit the
Сікорського, а
internal
саме
support
Департамент
within the
міжнародного
Sikorsky
співробітництва
University,
Ігоря Сікорського
especially the Department
активно
for
підтримував
International
практично
Cooperation,
на всіх
because they
етапах
were
від
very active in the support on
першої
different
зустрічі
stages
до
of the project,
підписання
since the
яких
first
або юридичних
meeting
всіх питань,
till
все
the
з допомогою нашого
agreement signing
супроводження
and all
Департаменту
the
міжнародного
legal issues
співробітництва.
related to the project.
Стратегічні
So
досягнення та
the
інтеграція до
strategic
ЄС
achievements and integration to the
таких
European
напрямках, як
Union.
європейська
We
інтеграція,
are
кліматична
working in such areas
нейтральність,
as
місцевий
European
вплив.
integration,
Ну, і
climate
звісно,
neutrality,
що
local effect, and
кінцевим є зниження
and
викидів
finally
і
the
енергоефективність.
decrease of the CO2
Наступними
emissions
кроками
and
нашої
energy
команди
efficiency. The next steps
є
for our
подання
teams
нових
is
заявок.
to prepare
Зараз,
and
я думаю,
submit
що,
new
я думаю, ви
applications.
також
I
знаходитесь в
think
такому стані.
that
Зараз сьогодні останній день подачі
today is
заявок на
that
горизонт.
all of you know that today is the last day of
Зокрема,
submitting
КПІ подає
applications for Horizon,
дві
and
заявки по
KPI is going to
розмінуванню.
submit
Ми,
two
до речі, це також пов'язано
applications
з
related
проблемами
to
екології.
the mining
І ми
issues,
запрошуємо, якщо
and
є
we
спеціалісти зацікавлені
are
в цьому
inviting
напрямку,
any
працювати.
interested
Бажання колегам це
individuals
не
to
бійте
work with
складності
us.
та
Please
процесу,
don't be afraid.
пробуйте, так, і у вас все вийде,
Don't be
так.
afraid of complicated
Ну,
things.
я
Just
бажаю
give
вам
it a
гарного
try,
дня,
and
а перед вами
you
це
will succeed. You will succeed.
команда,
Here you can
міжнародна
see the
команда
team
нашого
of the.
проекту.
You can see the international team
Дякую
of
вам за
our
увагу.
UCAN project. Thank you very much.
Дякую, пане Стефане.
Thank you very
Шановні
much.
колеги, заключна історія на сьогодні, але точно не остання. Для нас вона особливо цінна і особливо цікава. Чим? Перший інформаційний захід, який Офіс «Горизонт Європа» в Україні проводив в рамках грантової угоди, він відбувся в березні 24-го року у місті Львів. І саме там до нас приїхали представники команди, яка зараз буде виступати, скажімо так. І, напевно, майже на всі заходи, які ми проводили на заході нашої країни, вони приїжджали, вони для нас задавали питання, не соромилися. Це була дуже така гарна комунікація. Видно було, що люди зацікавлені. Вони писали нам запити, вони уточняли. І ось пройшло 1,5 року, власне, так. І сьогодні я хочу з приємністю представити команду Івано-Франківського національного медичного університету, які виграли проєкт в рамках програми «Горизонт Європа». І, власне, пана Романа Яцишина, ректора університету, тоді прошу вас тоді розказати, як це все починалося.
Дякую вам. Сьогодні бачите перед собою щасливого ректора. Мрія, одна з мрій, якого збулася. Зараз коротко розкажу, чому так зараз сталося. Я декілька днів тому, чи декілька тижнів тому почув проведення такого форуму. І сам для себе кажу, я хочу тут бути, я хочу подякувати людям, заради яких, чи завдяки яким цей успіх вдався. Не виходило, але Боженька добра, і хто дуже просить, тому це Бог додає. Я сьогодні тут з вами. Я провів з вами прекрасний час, тому що побачив нові механізми, нові інструменти, побачив людей, які мають успіх. Ми сьогодні розкажемо про зовсім успіх, тому що ми тільки ввійшли в цей консорціум, ми ввійшли в консорціум з 19 країн, і будемо працювати. Це перший наш крок, але крок успішний. Чому він стався? Чому я зараз сказав, що я щасливий ректор? Тому що перша моя мрія збулася. Тому що в 24-му році відбулися вибори ректора. Так випало, що мене вибрав народ. А я подумав, куди рухатись? Де наша стратегічна мета нашого медичного університету на заході України? Здавалось би, це невеликий університет з стратегічними планами такими, знаєте, як бувають по різних напрямках. Одна медицина. Але ми поставили перед собою мету зробити два основних напрямки: змінити студентство, яке має бути відкритим, яке має бути дисциплінованим не в плані не списувати, а академічно дисциплінованим, розуміти, куди ми рухаємося, працювати на свої справи і не боятися креативити. Якщо ми зробимо креативних студентів, в медицині особливо, ми побудуємо нову медичну освіту, ми побудуємо нову медицину. І ось, пам'ятаю дату, пан Денис ще сказав березень, сказав дату, а я точно знаю дату, 6 березня 2024 року в Міністерстві охорони здоров'я нас зібрали ректорів, був інформаційний день дослідників і інноваторів в охороні здоров'я. Я також приїхав, побачив пані Олю, побачив пана Ігора. Вони розказували про центр досліджень з України. Я зразу сфотографував, прислав своєму проєкту, яка зараз працює тут, пані Марія Грищук. А потім, виявляється, створено було офіс «Горизонт Європа» 20 грудня 2023 року, буквально 3 місяці перед тим. Я думаю, ми точно туди маємо попасти. Я написав пані Марії, кажу, пані Марії, це наше перше з вами завдання до виконання. І ми це маємо з вами. Ось чому після цих зустрічей на кожній зустрічі наша команда була присутня. Дуже гарно почули від пана Михайла формулу успіху. Перша ідея. Перше все-таки має бути зустріч з людиною, яка тебе змотивує. З людиною, яку ти маєш побачити, почути і якщо ти побачив, почув і з'являється ідея. Ідея не виникає на кожному місці, ідея виникає зроби так, як я. Ти можеш цього досягнути. І Великий медичний університет цього досягнув завдяки вам. Чому? Тому що ми поставили, дозвольте мені, клікери, там якісь пару слайдів також показав, ми поставили перед собою мету зберегти молодих людей, студентів для України.
So one of our goals was to preserve our young researchers.
Діти, випускники шкіл, не знають, де їм залишатися.
Our students should have a choice. Shall they stay in Ukraine or do they want to go abroad? And what we have to do for this country, what they have to, how you can be useful for this country, what motivation you can have in order to live in this country. And what can we do to build this trust for students and build this motivation? Because many young people have the traits that we all recognize. Our young people are brave, daring, and these people, daring and brave people, they always give birth to very good ideas. They just need resources, and we have to help them with that. We have to provide instruments to our people. We have to build trust for them, so they would trust our institutions, so that they would have trust to our side, and they have to follow their interests and cooperate, receive support that they need. Ukraine has to be not just a partner that provides ideas, that generates ideas. We also have to be implementers of those ideas. This is why here's the strategy of our university. This is the one, you can see just one of our priorities. Every time I see the reaction of our scientific community, they nod in the agreement. I was a part of that scientific community. I was a head of one of the departments, and I told them stories about Horizon. We started in 2020. I encouraged everyone to send application to Horizon, and the director at the time was like, "Look, it's so hard to do, but little by little, step by step, here we are now." And what is important now is that participation in such project teams and project activities helps us to make our activities international. A person who studies in Ukraine and dreams about international experience, this person may stay in Ukraine, pay taxes here in Ukraine, and be a part of this international consortium. This is how, and this is how all these young people can create a better future for our country.
розуміти, що наука
We also
робиться
have to
не
understand
однією
that
людиною, не однією маленькою
science
командою,
is done
але
not
є
just by
мультидисциплінарно.
individuals,
Якщо ми вміємо
it's
знайти
done by
собі
teams.
партнерів, то ми зможемо
We have to be able
побудувати
to
той
find partners
кінцевий продукт, який ми
and
з вами
build
хочемо.
that
В медицині,
end
як на мене,
project
здавалося, це
that
достатньо
we
складно, тому
are
що є фармацевтичні компанії,
we
які
intend to
пускають
achieve.
ліки, на яких потім
For
повинні
example,
заробляти кошти.
let's think
Але
about
певний
the
таку
medical
ідею
medicines that
донести
are
медицину
supposed to be profitable, but to make them
до
profitable,
практичного використання, напевно, в таких якраз і
in these
проєктах
cases,
народжуються. Проєкти,
and
які сьогодні буде Христина Леся
these medicines
розказувати, якраз і пов'язані з
are produced in projects like
маркерами,
ours.
з онкомоніторингом
For
пацієнтів, і це
example,
дуже
one of the
важливо.
areas
Це виклик
in which we involve
екології,
is
це
in
виклик для людини,
oncology.
для сім'ї, для суспільства, для оточуючих людей.
We develop
Медицина
medicines,
ще більше виклик. Як лікувати,
and
чим
the
лікувати,
medicine has
як
so many
моніторити,
challenges in
як
the
знайти
end. How
ранні
we do
маркери, як моніторити
monitoring,
ускладнення
what
чи
markers
взагалі
we have to use, how
передопераційний
we
період.
assess our
шлях,
patient,
який ми
how do
маємо
we
пройти в
assess
цьому проєкті.
the effectiveness of rehabilitation.
Щодо грантових
As for
досліджень,
the
на
influence
нашу думку,
of
це
grants
ці 4
on
показники,
our
які ти
research,
записав,
here
їх,
are
напевно,
the
значно більше.
four
І
main
основний – це
indicators that we
можливість
consider.
бути
And the main of
у
them
світі.
is the
Це не тільки через журнали
possibility
Scopus,
to be a
це
part
можливість
of this
спілкуватися з людьми
broader
наживо.
global
Якщо не повернутися з
research,
відрядження з
scientific
Осло,
and research
університету
work.
Осло, один з найбільш старших, ми попали туди, тому що писали
And
півроку, просили, давайте
we
звернемося
sent
спільно.
applications over and over
Після
again, really want to be
логістичних
involved in this
всіх
country.
наших
There were many logistical issues.
і конекцій,
There
ми
were
склали план
other
діяльності,
barriers, but
2 дні ми
eventually we
працювали в
created a
воркшопі,
plan of
за яким я,
activity.
як ректор,
We
дійсно
took
величезне
part in the
задоволення
various
працювати в
workshops,
Україні, так як
and
працюють наші партнери в Європі.
we
Тільки через таку комунікацію ми
we
зможемо
decided
бути
for ourselves that we
елементом
want to
європейського
work
товариства.
in
Ну, на
Ukraine.
словах, а
We
не
can
тут.
work in Ukraine and be a
Ще
part
раз
of the
хочу
European
подякувати цим
community.
двом людям, які зараз тут
I want to thank
на
these two people,
постерках, і з тими, з
which
якими я
are
комунікував,
now
наша
here,
команда.
those people
Повірте,
we
я не був
communicated
завжди
with.
з вами присутній. Після
I
кожного
was
приїзду
not
моєї
always
команди
present, but our team would always
наших
inform
форумів, з
me
великими очима, з
about
запальними
all the
очима, вони приходили до
updates
мене
and
і казали:
news
Роман
that
Іванович,
they
ми це
got. Roman
зробимо.
Ivанович, they
Я
would
в
say,
них
we're
вірив.
gonna do
Ми
it,
це зробили.
and
Я
we
вам
did it.
дякую. Вчіться на таких
So this is
прикладах.
why I want
Мотивуйте
to
наших людей
thank
для
all
того,
of
щоб вони
you
залишалися
and
в Україні
encourage
і
our
воювали
people to
українську
stay
науку і
in
працювали
Ukraine
на Європу.
and
Дякую.
develop and improve
Дякую, пане
our
Романе. Це досить
science.
мотивуюче. Так,
Thank you,
звичайно. Ми
Mr.
тоді
Roman. This
запрошуємо
is
розказати
very
про цей проект, власне,
motivating in this,
що
and
робилося, як починалося пані
I
Христину Лесів, керівницю відділу
Christina
міжнародних
Lessig,
зв'язків
she's from
Івано-Франківського
the
національного медичного
Ivano-Frankivsk
університету.
Medical University. She will tell us a little bit more about the project. Christina Lessig.
Тож доброго дня ще раз усім присутнім.
Good
Доброго дня, шановні колеги, представники Національного фонду
all of
досліджень
us,
України
to all of
та
you, dear
Офісу
colleagues,
Горизонт Європа в Україні.
to the Office of Horizon in
Дуже
Ukraine.
вдячні за можливість
I
виступити
am
тут і
very
поділитися нашим
grateful for this
досвідом, а
opportunity
саме
to talk here
проектом, який
and
називається
share
UNCAN-CONNECT.
our
Це є
experience.
дуже
And I'm
важлива
going
і
to tell
критична
you a little bit about
ініціатива в
our project, which
місії
is
по
called
боротьбі з раком. Це
UNCAN-CONNECT.
децентралізована мережа
This
співпраці для
is
розвитку досліджень та
decentralized
інновацій у цій
network
галузі.
of collaboration for development of
Як вже
research.
сказав Роман Іванович, це доволі
As
великий
Roman Ivanovich
консорціум.
said, it's
Він
a large
об'єднує
consortium
установи і
and
заклади
it
з
unites various institutions,
установи та заклади
institutions
з
from
19 європейських та
19
асоційованих країн.
European
Як
associated
бачите,
countries. As you see,
географія партнерств доволі
the
широка,
geography of
і
partnership is
експертиза
quite
охоплює
large, and
не
the
лише
expertise
клінічних партнерів, а
covers
також і
not
технологічні
just clinical partners,
організації,
but
ті,
also
які займаються
technological
управлінням
organizations,
даних, організаційним
managerial
розвитком,
organizations,
навіть з
and
кібербезпекою та
also
штучним
organizations
інтелектом.
that deal with
Основним
cyber
фокусом даного
safety
проекту
and
це будуть
artificial
клінічні
intelligence.
кейси,
And we deal with clinical
саме
cases.
дослідження 6 типів
We're
раку,
gonna
яке
do,
дозволить в
we're
подальшому
gonna start
глибше
at 6
розуміти
types
механізми
of
цього
cancer,
захворювання.
and we want
Як ви
in
бачите,
order to
проект розпочався
understand,
1
better
вересня
understand
25-го року, тобто він
causes
доволі таки
of
молоденький.
cancer of
Проте він
all
доволі
these 6
амбітний,
types.
він триватиме
This is a
60
very ambitious
місяців, а
project. It's
загальний
going to
бюджет буде
last
30 мільйонів
for
євро.
60 months, and
Тож
the
основні
budget is going to
цілі,
be 30
я їх коротко
million
озвучу, це
euro.
перш за все
Briefly
визначення
about the goals.
потреб
First, we
національних,
have to clarify
регіональних та
needs,
загальноєвропейських,
national
що
needs,
дозволить
regional needs,
нам
and
створити
European needs, and this will
платформу
help us
UNCAN-CONNECT,
create
яка буде
a
займатися
platform,
аналізом
UNCAN-CONNECT, which is
клінічних
going to do
даних
the analysis of clinical data on all those 6 types of cancer. We want to understand the mechanism of morbidity better. We want to understand how to diagnose cancer and how to treat cancer. Now, after successful validation of these mechanisms on this platform, we are going to develop certain components which will allow researchers such as us from these various countries to have experience to do research in these very important areas. Now, the results we expect first is development of this very important platform and management of metadata. Now, also implementation of harmonization of data, since the project is going to be multinational and you're going to work with all types of clinical data. We're going to use artificial intelligence, and we will eventually decide how to use the results of this data. Now, development of dissemination of the results among the countries, and eventually we will be able to validate this data on 6 types of cancer.
So let me introduce the team of our researchers. They are directly involved in this project. This is the work package number 11 that will be focused on the ovaries cancer research. Professor Anna Kryzhenivska, the head of the oncology department. She has a great experience working in this area. In 2025, they had conducted 56 clinical trials. 13 of them are active clinical trials, and 41 of them are under testing at this moment. And so the level of experience of our experts is very high, that allows us to be involved in such large projects. The contribution of the medical universities, that is the clinical data and registers, that is analysis of the anonymized structure of clinical sets and metadata. We understand that there are legal and ethical aspects because we are dealing with the personal data. That is why these issues need special attention. Also, institutional preparedness and standardization. Here we are working with the colleagues from different spheres, and they can change their experience and to make our contribution even more better. We had a kickoff meeting on the 8th and 9th October 2025, where we listened to the report of the program office, and we have listened to the presentation of the related initiatives like Candle and USIP, and we also were distributed to the breakouts, and we had a chance to make good contacts with our colleagues, because the consortium is quite large. That is why we need to have a good communication and to have a clear understanding of the contribution of each partner within the consortium. This project certainly opens a lot of options for us. That is the participation in multinational cases, and also to raise the visibility of the university and the development of personnel by dealing with various experts. We understand that any opportunities, that no opportunities go without challenges. So what challenges do we see? We need to synthesize data from the participants from different countries, also the ethical standards, technical resources, because we need to work with a large basis of data, and also we understand that our way to succeed, we cannot stay on one place. We have to take special practical steps, and we need to be initiative initiative and communicable. We are not waiting for someone to offer cooperation to us, but we are very proactive here, and we are looking for the partners. Certainly, we are sometimes getting refuses, but sometimes we are getting support from different partners. We need to be responsible and to be specific. We need to have a clear understanding of our contribution, because we need to understand clearly what we are ready to fulfill within this or that initiative. So we understand that such initiatives need a lot of time, and we are ready for such long-term cooperation. We would like to say thank you to Horizon Europe. We are actually a fan club of you, and we are always in contact with you, and we are so happy to cooperate. Here are our contacts. We have you can use our contacts. We are always open to the cooperation and to new initiatives. So thank you for your cooperation, and thank you for your attention. Mrs. Christina, thank you very much. It motivates our team greatly as well. This is about cooperation that gives good results. Do we have the representatives of the higher institution in Ukraine? So, successful project, happy rector. You have heard, so please be armed with it. So we are going to wrap up now. I'm inviting Olga POLOTSKA for the final words. Our event was very dynamic, and we will have a networking now, so I think that a lot of us are waiting actually for this. So, dear colleagues, I would like to wrap up and to say that it is not the first year that the National Research Foundation of Ukraine, together with the Horizon Europe in Ukraine, are organizing events devoted to our professional holidays. And every time we are thinking about the agenda of such events, we are trying to make them a bit different from what we are unfortunately used to. We don't want these events to be formal. We don't want. We want to have the representatives of scientific area at these events. You have seen how interesting projects we do have here in Ukraine, how interesting ideas are here, and among them, and besides, it is very important to have our European colleagues here present at our events. And you have heard today that they are providing a great support, and not only in professional terms, but only in a personal terms. And it is not about the political thing. It is and about declarations. It is about the specific actions and the personal support to our researchers. So we are happy to have these results, and especially this kind of motivation. And let me tell you that for European grants, we have a lot of calls for proposals open. We have a lot of resources. You have their site and the different channels of communication. You can also contact the national points of contact, and sometimes it is even better. But concerning the national funding, we are coming till the end of the year and the budget year as well, and we are all looking forward for the new grant season. And concerning the national funded projects, if during the last years we we had maximum 3 calls for proposals with national funding. So for the next year, we are waiting around 10 calls of proposals for the project with national funding. Those are especially focused on the young researchers. And so please be interested and be aware of that. So the number of the projects supported by the President of Ukraine and funded by the Ukraine will be significantly enlarged, and the foundation will continue to administer the call for proposals for the another projects from the government of Ukraine. So totally we have 5 things here. Going further about the international cooperation, do you know that our foundation is going to announce a call of proposal with our sister organization, Research Council of Norway, and the topic for that is mental health. About that, the foundation at the beginning in early 2026 is going to announce a large joint call for proposals with a lot of our international projects. Within the project LUK that is financed by the European Commission, please keep in mind that in maximum till March next year it will be announced, and you will have competitions for different fundamental researches and other things. And but you will be able to procure some equipment within this project, and you know how problematic thing is this, because we all understand that high-level researches are not possible with the necessary equipment. Then we will surely have the applied researches competition and
конкурс на індивідуальні гранти від Національного фонду досліджень України. От рахуйте, 10 конкурсів буде наступного
року. So we're going to have 10 calls for proposals and announcements. We will share announcements in the beginning of the year. Please remember about this, but we won't be able to do everything simultaneously because, as we heard here today, Oleksandra ANTONIUK said that indeed the foundation does not substitute notions of, for example, such as independent expertise. Our experts are not affiliated with National Research Foundation. Okay, we have Ukrainian researchers and foreign researchers, and all of you, we got loads of our experts and international experts, and this is why to do all this expertise and with foreign experts, we are not allowed to pay for their service. Unfortunately, we cannot pay for their services, but it's not that easy to find people who would be able, researchers who would be able to do this expertise at a high level. This is why it's a complicated process. This is why it takes quite a bit of time. It's a lot of work. It takes a long time. But National Research Foundation of Ukraine, as our partner, already has the experience of communication with foreign experts and involvement of those. And as you understand, the better, the deeper involvement of foreign experts, the better the credibility of the project. We have sister organizations, for example, Swedish Fund or Foundation. They don't even use their national researchers for assessment in order to avoid a conflict of interest. We have to address external experts. We are, of course, a large country, and we use service of our Ukrainian researchers, leading researchers, responsible, very responsible. And please pay close attention to everything that happens, because sending applications is one thing, but if you really want to become a part of the commission, if you want to become a part of this activity, if you want to become an international expert, those are different roles, but all of those roles are organically related to one another. And these roles provide a great experience. I hope that all all people that joined our event online, they are the advocates of this activity. National Research Foundation has been created by researchers for researchers, and it is managed by researchers. And at this very positive note, I would like to finish this event. I want to thank all of you. I hope we were able to motivate you for the search of colleagues, for the search of partners. We are going to have many different success stories, and you will be able to share those stories. Now, thank you for listening to me, and now we are going to the very final part of our event. I also would like to thank you, all of you, because these are hard times. We don't have electricity, we don't have internet, we have many challenges, but we were able to find this opportunity to meet. And I believe that this event has been very useful for all of us, interesting and useful. We talked about our cooperation, and dear colleagues, traditionally we invite you for a common picture. Please give us directions. We all want to be in the picture, dear colleagues, and then